Guys, how's it going? I'm gonna set up this room real quick and then we can get started. Almost done getting this YouTube link set up. All right, cool guys. So let me just finish setting out this this link to you guys real quick, and then we can kick off this this trading week. There we go. How are you guys? And then let me just send this link out to our social media, and then we should be good to go. It's just 6:30 now, guys. So you're gonna see some increased volatility for US 30 for a lot of other pairs. So we'll wait for that to smoothen out, and once that smoothens out, we can get started looking for some scalps today. So let me just finish sending out this link, and then we should be good to go. Yeah, look at this huge spike right here. You're probably gonna see some crazy spikes for the next 30 minutes to an hour. So we'll definitely catch that as it starts to smoothen out. All right, send it to the Facebook, the email. Where else do I need to send it to? Send it over to the Instagram real quick, and I think after that, that's it. I'll send you guys the Zoom link right now as well. Just give me 1 second. All right, post this up real quick on the IG. All right, cool. Everything looks pretty much good to go for the most part. So let me go ahead and see who's in this room, and then we can get started. Hey, morning, Joseph. Morning, Biku. Morning, Marcus. Doing great, bro. How are you doing? Morning, Peter. Morning, David. Morning, John. Morning, C. Lucio. Sorry, bro. might have butchered your name. Morning, Smokes. Morning, Kyle. Morning, Funky. Morning, T-Got. Morning, Mark. Morning, everybody. So, guys, I'm going to be co-hosting this session probably this entire week with David. So, if you guys are familiar, you know David's the guy that I usually work with. He's one of our old, longtime K2 members. Once he finally quits his job, he'll be helping me trade every day, because generally, if you guys are familiar with how David analyzes the charts, when our analysis lines up perfectly, it's usually a guaranteed hit. Right now, we're looking at US 30. I was talking to David just a few minutes ago. We got on this live session before you guys hopped on, and David sees it dropping. I also see it dropping too. So, what I kind of see happening here is I see the high established right over here. As you can see, it's kind of clear. The high was established here. I don't think price is going to break above here. I think price is going to just continue dropping from this point, but we're not going to enter right away. We're probably going to be, we're just going to be, sorry, Anya. All right, cool. I'm just opening my MT4. My MT4, my computer is kind of screwed up today. I don't know what's going on. MT4 is just not loading on my computer. So I'm going to have to execute the trades on my phone. So what I just mentioned was me and David think US 30 is going to drop. I don't think it's going to swing anywhere higher above this area. So we'll have to wait and see. But we would have to wait for that confirmation for it before we take this trade. So basically, what I'm waiting for here is I'm kind of waiting for price to come below, and then from this point it'll probably come up, reject off the structure, and then come back heavily down here. So we'll be looking for some sell scalps, as price swings down below. But I'm not going to enter any trades just yet because the market just opened. So we're probably going to see some back and forth movement. It'll probably go sideways for a bit, but I think overall it'll probably drop. Obviously, you can see right here it kind of retraced down a little bit, right? So we have the high here, the low, the lower high, And then I just want this to close below here. If this closes below here, then I could probably anticipate some sort of drop, happen for the rest of the day. But we will definitely be looking for some scalps as we follow through. But I mean, we're going to hold off. We're not going to enter right away. There's no guarantee price isn't going to break above here, but this is just kind of our speculation just by looking at US 30, with regard to the stimulus news and with a lot of other news that's happening today. Let me see if there's anything else happening for high impact. There's nothing else for high impact, but there's a lot of things happening in the US causing things to move a certain way. So as you can see right here over the weekend, the Senate passed bill, Biden's 1.9 trillion stimulus bill. And, this is going to affect the market heavily. So just keep that in mind, guys. Like there's a lot of things here that are affecting the market. And we're going to act on it. So once we see price moving a certain way, we're definitely going to act on it and, probably lock in some really nice profits to kick off the trading week. So let me go ahead and send the Zoom link out to you guys here in the premium, and then we can get started. So just a reminder, guys, if you guys are familiar with David is going to be co-hosting the live sessions with me this week. He finally has some time to focus on trading for the most part. So that's definitely going to, be a benefit, not just for me, but to you guys as well. Because when me and David's analysis lines up, it's usually a guaranteed hit. So let me just send out this Zoom link for you guys here, and then you guys should be good to go. So let me just see this big drop right here. I'm thinking about taking like maybe even a speculative sell and just write it down, right? So I think that's probably what I'm going to do here. I mean, we'll see. Yeah, so I took a sell right here. I took a sell already, guys. I'm taking a small lot size. I don't recommend you guys do it, but I'm just taking a small lot size here, and I'm probably just gonna ride this down, put my stop loss somewhere above here. Let me see where I can put it at. Put it about 31,800. And this is one that I'm just gonna let run. So we're gonna see how it plays out, but I'm just gonna let it run. 31,800. Yeah, so this isn't something that I necessarily recommend anyone take. I'm just going to take like a really small lot size, like a 0.01, just so I can follow it. And this is going to be on my personal account. So I'm just going to follow it and see how it plays out, because I don't think it's going to come above this area here. So this isn't applying any strategy. This is just applying speculation. I mean, I'm speculating here that I don't think price is going to come above here. So what I'm doing is I just entered a sell and I put my stop loss above here, and I'm just going to let it run. Because look, if this ends up playing out like we speculated, so this is a big drop from here all the way down to here. It's like an 8,000 pip drop. And I'm just gonna hold on to it. This is gonna be a long hold. I'll probably hold this like for the rest of the week. I'm not gonna be touching it at all, and I'm just gonna see how it ends up, playing out. But who knows? We'll see how it plays out. I'll show you guys my account like in the next couple days to see how it plays out. It's not a big risk because I'm only taking a very small lot size, but I'm just going to be in for that ride because it's kind of the same situation that happened right here. So if you guys followed me and David's analysis from last week, so like David mentioned, whenever David mentioned to sell, and then we followed it. I'm sending you guys a Zoom link right now. So basically, whenever David mentioned that it was going to drop, like right here, this is like another drop that he saw. So like, for example, right here, we saw a break below the structure. It came out to retest, but it came, let me mute everybody. You hear Billy over here. Let me just mute everybody real quick. All right, I'm admitting everyone to the room. Here, David, let me, I'm gonna let everyone in the room first, David, and then I'm gonna mute everyone else. So let me just let everyone in the room real quick. And I'll unmute you, David, if you want to talk. Or actually, you're a co-host, David, so you can unmute yourself, I think. Yeah. So I'm just letting everybody into the room right here. But like I was mentioning, you know, like David mentioned, you know, he called a sell, or he didn't call a sell, but he told me that it was going to drop from like a certain point over here. And as you can see, like when price established a high here, it came up to retest, but it never came back above it, right? So that's basically what I'm using here as well for this specific entry. I mean, it's not guaranteed to come drop like crashing down, but I set my stop loss here to protect my position if it does end up swinging up, because it can swing up, guys. Like there's no guarantee it's going to come down. It's just that we're just speculating here that price doesn't, you know, possibly shoot up from that point. But all right, let me just let everybody in the room real quick. And then when we see some scalps, I'll call some scalps, obviously. But right now, we're just going to be, you know, messing with this as we continue on. All right, cool. So I think everyone's pretty much solid right now. And then we will be good to go. All right, cool. So yeah, guys, we don't have any official trades running right now. Like there's just no, well, there's actually a buy scalp right here, but we don't take the opening candle. Like I mentioned, we never take the opening candle right here because this happened at 6:30. So we're just gonna be waiting for the next entry. So I wouldn't take these right here, guys. Don't take these scalp. Don't take this opening scalp. I mean, you can if you want, but I wouldn't take it because it's just too risky. All right, cool. So everything looks good here. I think we're ready to go. So let me follow through with this and see what is going on over here. All right, let me check out the chat, see who's here, and then we can get started. See how big of a move is this? Oh, that's cool. So yeah, if you took that trade right there, it would have hit full TP already. But I don't like taking like unnecessary risk like that. So for example, here, if you took this scalp right here, which I personally don't take, I know some people here do take it because a lot of you guys, there's a lot of risk takers in the group. But if you were to take this trade here, it already hit 500 pips. So this would have hit TP already if you took that trade. I didn't take it, but if you guys did, congrats to whoever took that trade. I'm going to be looking for safer trades to take. So all right, everyone's here in the room now. So let me check the YouTube chat, see what's going on here, and then we can get started. So let's see. All right, cool. Morning, Funky. Morning, Mark. Morning, City. Morning, Emmanuel. Morning, Matt. Morning, Braden. Morning, City. Morning, Kushi. Morning, Camo. Morning, Shonda. Morning, everybody. So, I mean, we'll see how this plays out from here. And then we will we'll play it out from that point. So like for this right here, and then we can get started. All right, so I just muted everybody. Let me get everybody in here real quick. Yeah, so like what David was mentioning, that he thinks that US 30 is going to sell. So I took a speculative sell. I put my stop up here, and we'll see if it breaks the structure. It might not. But for the scalps, this would be a scalp entry right here. Like I mentioned, this is just a speculative sell right here with stop loss above the structure, tight stop loss just to catch it, you know, if we need to. But this would have been a buy scalp right here, obviously, because it rejected off the pivot, rejected off the structure, and we're just looking for any possible other trades to take moving forward. So we'll see how this moves. All right, everyone's still making it into the Zoom link right now. And I'll look at the Forex pairs too, guys. So there's no trades that were available for the Forex entries. Obviously, you can see the pairs kind of bounced around. There's this one entry right here for UJ. I didn't take the trade, though, because it just looked a little too risky. And the reason for that is because it was Sunday and the market was moving slow. So price broke structure right here, actually, this morning at 2 a.m. And it's a big push here. So this is the overall look for UJ. It's probably going to push up since it broke structure. It's probably going to push up to the next resistance right here, which would be the weekly resistance. But other than that, I marked up a couple of the pairs here. There's a sell here that's available for maybe a late entry off AuDCAD. It's not something that I plan on taking just yet. I'm going to go back and look at it a little later. And then the same here for AuDUSD as well. There just isn't really much for us to take right now because of the markets just moving really slow. Just keep in mind that it is Monday. So nothing, like everything is slowly reopening right now with regard to market sessions. So like right here, if you were to take this trade, it'd be a late entry. And that's why I didn't call this trade, because look how risky it is. Other than that, I think that's about it. There was a GN trade here as well. You can see there's a lot of fake outs, right? The price broke structure on Sunday. This is why we don't take trades usually on Sunday, because price broke structure, then it faked out and came back down. What's probably going to happen is this will probably swing back up from this point, and then it'd be good for a later entry. That's why we don't usually trade on Sunday, and you wait for the market to actually smooth it out until we enter those trades. So I'm going to hold off on the Forex now. I'm going to wait until the next 4-hour candle, which will be at 10 a.m. But for now, we're just going to focus on these scalps for US 30. So we'll see what happens here. We'll see if this ends up breaking the structure. If it does, it's cool to have a tight stop for that speculative sell. But if it rejects off this point, it might be a nice little drop. So we'll see how it plays out from here. And then we will we'll act accordingly. Hey, morning Life Plus, morning Sam, morning Alan, morning Gwen, morning Kimmy, morning everybody. So hopefully you guys had a great weekend. You know, I'm ready to hop back on these charts. It's funny because a lot of people like wait for the weekend, but for us, we wait for Sunday or Monday so that we can start trading again. So like I mentioned, we're just waiting for some entries to play out. I didn't take this opening entry here because I usually don't take the opening candle, which is at 6:30. You can see it's a huge manipulated candle, right? Because price is moving about, let's see, it's only moving like about 500 pips, maybe less, like 300 to 500 pips each candle right here. And then all of a sudden on the market open, you see this huge candle right here for like over 1,000 pips, right? And then the following candle right there, another manipulated move because it's still following through off this previous candle, another 1,000 pip move there. So we're going to wait for it to smoothen out, and then we're going to start taking some trades. But like I mentioned, I think US 30, me and David, we both think that US 30 is probably going to be a sell today and this week overall for the reason that the stimulus was passed over the weekend. So this 1.9 trillion stimulus bill was passed. And then we just have to see how the market is going to react to this stimulus bill. So we'll see how it plays out. But until then, we'll be continuing with these scalps. So we're just waiting for these scalps right now as we follow through. So I'll go through all the indices here and I'll see if there's anything else for us to really look at. And then if we see any good scalps, Billy said, sorry. Yeah, no, it's all right, Billy. I heard your kid in the background. Yeah, we're gonna look for some scalps, and then I'll just go down the entire indices list because there's nothing here for US 30. We'll go over to the Aussie 200. I'll see if there's any trades that appeared overnight. I'm not sure if you guys scalped overnight. Well, I think some of you guys did, right? Because I did see some profits in the group. Let me see. I think Mark scalped. Let me see. I saved the messages here. So let's see. Paco over here locked in some trades out here for S&P, silver, and gold. Mark over here locked in some nice profit off US 30, about 2,700 for the day. Trell over here locked in about 407. Looks like he took a small loss in the beginning, bounced back really quick off his next trades right there. So he's up like 407. Jonathan over here took a couple scalps last night for US 30. Looks like he took one loss and then a bunch of wins right here to cover those losses. So he's up about 400 for the day as well. And Trail here for another trade. So yeah, it looks like a couple of you guys here locked in some nice profits. Same with Mark over here, another one. So it looks like some of you guys did scalp last night. I personally don't really scalp Sundays because it's just too risky on. So I don't really like to scalp, but you know, I'm waiting for the market to smoothen out. So I can take some scalps. So let me just show you some scalps that are here for the Aussie 200. Because I know some of you guys like to trade this. So here is a couple right here. Let me see. So this is the same entry that we just looked at for US 30. You know, it's having the same movement right here for the Aussie 200. But like I mentioned, we don't take the opening candle. But if you guys did, there was a rejection off the pivot and structure right there. So if you took this trade for the Aussie 200, looks like it would have hit your TP already. Or maybe not. I'm not sure what the sweet spot is for Aussie 200 because I don't normally trade it. I'm not sure if it's like 150. 100, 150, or 200. So depending on you know what the sweet spot is for you, looks like it's technically active, but it's not coming back down. And this is why we don't take this opening candle, because see this big wick right here? This can indicate a reversal if it drops heavily. So that's it for the Aussie 200. Let me see if there's anything else over here real quick before we continue on. Oh, sorry guys, let me just fix this real quick. There's like, I gotta help out one person in K2. It's having issues. So let me just copy this over real quick. And let me just fix this real quick. All right. All right, DJ, I'm gonna fix your access real quick for the indicators. Yeah, see these big wicks right here? That bullish move was a manipulated push up on market open, basically to lure in the buyers. So that's why I don't like taking the first entry if it's on market open. Because let me go back to my other chart over here. So looking at US 30 again, like I mentioned, if you took that scalp, it would have hit, right? If you took that scalp right there, you would have hit full TP off this right here. But like I mentioned, I don't think it's going to push up very much higher. It's just a manipulated move from market open. But this established a strong resistance right here, right? So we'll see how this plays out. If price fails to break above here, then we could probably see a big drop happen. So just keep that in mind. And that's exactly what we're looking for here. So we're not trying to hop into these manipulated moves. We're just trying to catch it as it comes back down, and then we'll scalp it again as it drops further. So like for right here, if price fails to break this structure right here, what we'll be looking for is for price to come back down from this point, price swing up. And then at that point, the pivots will be around this area, right? Because this is gonna, let me see if I could, that brush tool at, or not the brush tool. Actually, is the brush tool? Yeah. So for example, I'm just waiting for this to come over here. So this will, if this ends up coming down from this point, this will end up, let me change the color of the brush tool. It kind of blends in with everything else. Let me see, brush tool. Let's see if I can change the color. Tag. All right, so let me just delete that. So yeah, if price ends up swinging down here, what will happen is the pivots will move in this direction, right? So as the pivots move in this direction, we can catch it as it rejects off this point here. And it'll probably reject off the pivot too. So say if it comes down right here, it'll reject off the pivot. And then when that happens, we can take some scalps in this direction right here. So we'll see how this plays out. But like I mentioned earlier, me and David don't think that price is going to break the structure above here. So, I mean, it did break it, but not close above it. So we'll see how it plays out. But we don't have any scalp entries that are available right now. When they come up, then I'll show you guys, and then we can take these trades. Otherwise, we'll just hold off and wait for these trades to appear. So, so DJ, I just updated your account access, so you should be good to go. Let me just message you. Charles said, I don't think US 30 or NASDAQ is coming back down during New York today. Actually, I take that back. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out, Trell. Because I mean, it does look bullish right here, but like I mentioned, this is and I'm reading this from the chat over here because Trell said I don't think US 30 is going to come back down, but then he saw the big spike, you know, right here. He's like, let's take that back. So we'll see how this plays out, Trell. I mean, honestly, we don't know yet until it happens, right? Until price breaks and closes past the structure, then we'll know it's going to be bullish. If not, then it's going to come back down. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. But until then, we'll be we'll be following along to see where it goes. But all right, let me go back real quick and I'm going to check the rest of the pair. So I left off on the Aussie 200 or the China 50 actually. Let's see if there's any trades here. I'm just going to look at every single index here because I know all you guys are located in different areas, right? So if you guys are located in Australia, a lot of you guys like to trade the Aussie 200. You know, if you guys are located in, we have a lot of traders here from Singapore. A lot of you guys like to trade the China 50. So I'll look at this as well. There's the Spain 35, French 40, German DAX, the Japanese Nikkei, the UK 100, the S&P, the NASDAQ 100, and US 30. So I'll go down this list right here just to show you guys any possible entries. And if there's an entry, I'll let you guys know, but I don't think there's really anything that's available just yet. because we're still waiting for that big move earlier to smoothen out. So here's the Spain 35. Looks like there hasn't been any entries from last night. So let me just fix this up right here. All right. So it looks like the first entry that was available for the Spain 35, if you guys did trade it last night, would have been right here. For you guys that do trade this pair, I don't trade this pair, but some of you guys do. So you can see right here that we have the wick rejection off the pivot and the structure down here. So if you took this trade last night for the Spain 35, looks like you would have hit full TP off that already. So there's your full TP off that. And we'll be looking for some more entries. So I personally don't trade this, but some of you guys that are located in Spain, you guys do trade this, and you guys mentioned this pair to me before to look at. And you guys can see right there that this entry would have played out if you took that entry for the Spain 35. So here's the French 40 right here for you guys located in France. I know there's a couple of you guys here located in France. And if you guys took this trade here, there's another entry right here, right? So from this candle over here, we have the wick rejection off the pivot and the structure. If you guys took that trade, I mean, obviously it hit full TP right here, right? So for you guys there that took that trade, congrats to you guys in Spain, you guys in France that took both of these buy entries for the French 40 and the Spain 35 right here. So those two would have hit full TP. I don't trade those, so I didn't take it, but damn, I do trade the DAX. I should have taken this, or actually I was asleep. So there's a bunch of DAX entries right here, actually. I'm not sure if anyone else here took these trades, but there's actually a lot of, damn, US 30 is pushing up. Wow, look at US 30, a huge move up. So it looks like it might not be coming down. But anyways, going back to the DAX right here, I do trade the DAX, but I didn't trade it last night because there's no entries. So I went to sleep like around midnight over here. It looks like right when I went to sleep, it started pushing up bullish right here. So there's a couple entries here that were available. There's one right here. You can see the wick rejection off the pivot and the structure right there. There's also another wick rejection off. So there's one entry there that you see the wick, it rejects off the yellow pivot and the structure. So there's one entry there. If you took that entry, that would have been full TP. I think the sweet spot for this is like 250, right? So you would have gone way past the 250 mark. And then again, down here, there's two entries off these both of these candles, this red and green candle. You can see the wick rejection off the pivot and the structure right there. So if you took that trade as well, that would have hit full TP right there as well. So if you took these two DAX entries, guys, I know some of you guys do trade the DAX with me. If you guys did take them, it looks like you would have hit TP off both of those. But yeah, other than that, I think that's about it for this. So as you guys can see during London session, there was actually some pretty decent entries. I didn't trade during London session. I normally don't. But if you guys did, the DAX 30 provided for two full TPs back to back right here. An hour after market open right here at 1:20 a.m. And then again right here at 5:30 a.m. before the US Open. So other than that, take a look at this Nikkei. Sorry, let me just fix this real quick. And US 30 is bouncing around, guys. I just looked at my position right here. It's like all over the place. So this is why we don't take the opening candle, right? Like I mentioned, we don't take the opening candle. Let me go back to US 30. We don't take this opening candle because look at these crazy movements. I mean, obviously this right here would hit your full TP, but it could have easily went the opposite direction. That's why we don't like to take these like these little crazy moves here where price just bounces around like crazy. So let me just check this real quick. I think we have like one more other person that's mentioning. Sorry, guys, I totally lost my train of thought. I saw a couple messages here and then I forgot what I was looking at. Oh yeah, sorry, I was gonna do this. Stupid scammers. These little Tesla Bitcoin scammers. There we go, I took that off. But yeah, guys, this is what I was talking about, right? So we were waiting for price to either break and close past this structure so we can take a buy. But like I mentioned, I don't think this is going to come up. It's just going to be manipulating back and forth right here until it ends up dropping. Because I think this is going to drop. Me and David just talked about this before we started this live session. I think this is probably going to drop from this point, but we'll see. I mean, we're not going to jump the gun and just enter a sell, right? Well, I jumped the gun and entered a sell, but I'm not going to give you guys a trade until I'm confirmed that it's going to drop. So we're probably going to take a sell once it comes down, comes back up. And then when it rejects off the pivot and structure, I'll call some sell scalps right here. But right now, currently, I'm not going to call anything because there's obviously no trades available. The most recent trade would have been this one, and that already hit TP. So that trade's not running anymore. But all right, let me just go back real quick. So I was looking, I think the last pair I was looking at was the Nisei, right? So we looked at the Nisei right here. I'll show you guys if there was any entries that were available last night. So it looks like, oh, hold up guys, sorry. Let me pull up the daily entry real quick, because you might have the daily entry coming out right now. All right, perfect. So we're looking for we're going to be looking for a sell off the daily entry. So let me just mark this up real quick. I keep forgetting about this daily entry because we're so focused on the scalps. So anyways, we're looking for a sell here off the daily entry. So I'll have to keep coming back to this right here. I mean, if we do take it, it's going to be there. We do have a pending sell because I did get that signal. So I'll be checking on this from now until the next 9 minutes to see if it closes. If it ends up closing, I'll call the sell for you guys for the K2 daily US 30 entry, which should be a sell because it's a pending sell signal right now. You guys saw the alert a few seconds ago. But until that closes, we're not going to take the sell just yet. And this is going to be perfectly fine because we do have a very nice rejection off the structure right here, right? So you guys can see the last time we had a nice rejection off the structure when it was followed by a sell signal, rejection, sell signal, and then a huge drop from that point, right? So if we went for the daily entry right here, I think some of you guys were talking about the Sunday fun day entry yesterday, right? I'm not sure who took the Sunday fun day entry yesterday, but if you guys did, you would have hit full TP already right there. And if you guys are not familiar with the Sunday fun day strategy, if you guys are longtime K2 members, you guys know that this is one that Josh created. I didn't create the strategy, but Josh created it. Well, he identified it. He mentioned that when the market reopens, take the first valid K2 signal right here, which this would be it, because the market opened right over here, right? So the market opened, first signal was a sell right here. Josh and a lot of you guys took this sell, and then you hit your full TP right there already. I'm not sure if you guys, here, let me just search the chat real quick. Sunday. Yeah, all right. So I did see you guys talk about it right here. So Trell said Sunday fun day full TP if you took it. So some of you guys did take this trade, the same one that I just mentioned right here, right? I didn't take it, unfortunately. I should have taken it with you guys, but I didn't. But yeah, see, Trell took it. A lot of you guys took it actually. Henry said, anybody take the Sunday fun day entry? Looks like a full TP coming soon. So yeah, looks like Trell, you took the trade, full TP. Who else took it? Yeah, Josh too. So a lot of you guys did take that trade. Jonathan right here took it as well. So if you guys did take that trade, it looks pretty good for the most part. And that's kind of the same pattern that we're looking for here. Look, we've identified the rejection here. We just need that sell signal, rejection, sell signal, enter that sell, rejections, pending sell signal. Once we get that sell signal, we can take that sell right here and then just write it down like we did over here. So that's basically what we're looking for off this. But until then, we're just going to be looking for some scalps along the way as well. We have about 6 minutes left on this candle, so I'll come back to it. You know, I'm going to prepare the sell entry actually, so that we don't miss it. So I'm just going to go ahead and set this up right here in the premium chat. So if you guys are in the premium, you guys will get this trade. All right. So I got that preset. This is what I'm doing. See, we have this pending right here. We have about 6 minutes left on this candle. If this closes with that sell signal, we're going to take that sell. And then we will be writing this downwards. But I got this set up right here. So once that candle does close, if it closes with a signal, we'll call it. And then we'll ride this down. I'm already in the sell, so it's not a big deal to me. But that's pretty much what we're looking for here. All right, so just looking at the Nisei right here, I didn't take any trades off the Nisei, but I know some of you guys are located in Japan. So for you guys that are located in Japan who trade the Nisei 225, looks like there was an entry last night. So there's one entry that was available down here, or not last night, actually, like this morning. So about 5 o'clock this morning, there's a couple entries right here. So if you took this for a buy, you would have hit full TP already right there, right? There's another entry right here off market open. Like I mentioned, we don't take the market open entry, but if you guys did take that, looks like you could have made a small little scalp here. I'm not sure what the sweet spot is because I don't trade this. I think it's about like 500. 500 seems like the sweet spot for the NSA. So if you took that trade down there, that would have hit full TP with no drawdown. And then again, right here, if you took the opening entry or the opening candle for 500 pips, looks like this might have hit your TP as well. Yeah. So both of them would have hit full TP right there. And yeah, if I see any other entries, I'll let you guys know, but I don't see anything right now. The UK 100, if you guys took the UK 100, I think last night, let's see. There's actually quite a few entries here for you guys. So like if you took the UK 100, looks like there was one sell entry right here. If you took that sell scalp right there, that would have hit full TP down there. And then again, right here. So there's a sell entry right here. And then if you scalp it, we scalp both ways. You don't just, we're not biased to one direction. Looks like you could have taken that one for full TP. And again, right here, this one for a full TP as well. So yeah, some nice scalps off the UK 100. The S&P real quick. Hold on, let me go back to US 30. All right, we're just waiting for this to close. Going back to S&P over here, I'll see if there's any scalps that were possibly available last night. The same scalp right here on market open, the one that I wouldn't have taken. Looks like if you took it, it might have hit some like TP off there, but it's a really, really risky move to have been taking that. So let me just set this up right here. All right, so looking at the S&P, I guess technically this might have been an entry right here. No, I probably wouldn't have taken these trades. I mean, if you guys are taking some risky trades, this red one looks like it might have been a possible entry. If I replay it back, let's see. Yeah, because if you replay it back and you look at the S&P right here, you can see that this is actually an entry off this red candle, right? So if you look at that right there, it doesn't touch the body off that open. So if you guys did take that S&P trade, looks like you probably would have hit full TP. I think it's about 500 pips. So like if you took that trade, yeah, it would have went straight to full TP right there. But I probably wouldn't have taken it. I don't like to take trades when the market just opens. It's just too risky. And then again, right here for the US Open, another scalp right there as well. So yeah, it looks pretty solid for the most part. But here's the indices. You can see that they're still bouncing back and forth like pretty heavily, right? And that's why we don't take these trades when the market opens. We usually wait like maybe an hour. So probably by like 7:30, we'll start taking some trades. But obviously you can see right here, this would have, there's no sell entry, right? We're still waiting for that sell signal. So we got about 2 minutes left on this candle. Price still hasn't closed above the structure. So we'll see. I mean, price is broken above it, but it hasn't closed above it, right? This could be a manipulated move right here, trying to lure in some more buyers. Because generally what happens is they'll do this. They'll push price up slightly to lure in some buyers. And then as soon as like people enter these buys right here, because obviously if you just look at this and you're not actually analyzing it, it looks like it's going to push up, right? So what happens here is they lure in a bunch of buyers. And then when you least expect it, it comes crashing down like super heavy. And I'm sure you guys have seen that before. You guys have seen where you guys are like, oh, this looks like a definite buy. And then like a few seconds later, it just dumps like heavily. And then you're like, what happened? And then if you were following like, your analysis from the start, you would have noticed that, this is a common trick right here. Like even right here, if you see it from market open from the weekend, you can see that it tested the structure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And then it finally dropped. So from this point, if you were to take this buy here, this would have ended up dropping about 3,000 pips. So I'm not too worried about this. I'm just going to wait for it to close because, in order for it to confirm a bullish move, it's going to have to close above the structure. You can see it's testing, but it hasn't closed above. We have about 40 seconds left on this candle. We'll see where it closes and then we'll see where it plays out. Because what can happen here is price can close above it and it could still fake you out. So what could happen is it'll close slightly above it and then it'll just go sideways for a bit and then it'll come back down. So you guys just got to make sure not to fall for these little traps here. because this is what they're doing. They're setting up traps here to lure some people in certain directions. So let me just check the, let's check what the sentiment looks like for US 30. All right, let me just go ahead and pull up the sentiment, US 30 sentiment, just to see where everyone else is trading, because you generally don't want to trade where everyone else is trading, right? Sorry, wrong one. Let's go back over here. So it's 66% of people short. So price did close above, and then we'll see where it plays out. So I didn't look at the sentiment, but since there's a lot of people short right now, it looks like it's going to push up slightly. It might keep pushing up from this point, actually. So it might push up slightly before it comes back down. Because generally, if there's a lot of people short, they're not just going to drop price. Because if they drop price, then the market makers, institutions aren't going to make that much money. They're going to want to go in the opposite direction for a bit. So for right now, we're just going to be looking for any possible scalps if there's any scalp entries, but obviously there's no scalps right now. The signal didn't close, and you can see right here this red candle. There's going to be a lot of like fake outs right now. So we're just going to be looking for some scalps here. So let me go back to the scalp chart. So guys, right now, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for a rejection off a pivot and a structure. So right now, there's no rejection off pivot and structure. The most recent rejection off the pivot and the structure would be this right here. This is the same pattern that we're looking for. We're looking for this wick to reject off the pivot and structure in order for us to take, a scalp in that direction. So there's no rejection off the pivot and structures over here right now. There's a rejection off the pivot down here, but no rejection off the structure. And this is, John said it wasn't the last candle a buy scalp. No, John, there's this one was over here, but the last candle, there's no structure that it rejected off. So there's no buy scalp right now. We need this right here in order for there to be a buy scalp. So we'll be holding off on this for now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set an alert here to let me know when price touches the pivot so that we can look for some scalps. So I set an alert there. When price comes down, touches the pivots, then we can start looking for some scalps. But as you can see right here, the US 30 is still bouncing around, right? Like I mentioned, it's probably going to fake people out, close above here, have people enter some buys, and then drop slightly, right? So we'll see how this plays out. But, until there's an entry, there's not really much for us to take right here. So I'm going to go and check out the chat, see if there's any questions for me to look at while we wait for these scalp entries. But right now, currently, there's no scalp entries available. So yeah, John, there's no scalp entry here because there's no rejection off the structure. It's just off the pivot. All right, so let me scroll real quick and see if there's any questions here. Nice. Kyle said, watching live in my basement. Nice, Kyle. So is there no school today? I'm assuming there's no school if you're here on the live session, right? Because you're usually teaching around this time. Let me see if there's anything else real quick. Yeah, City said, I just missed a scalp as you mentioned it. Yeah, no, I missed it too, but I didn't take it because it was too risky. Emma said, SPX on the 1 hour has upside head, down head and shoulders. So let me just go on the 1 hour real quick and I'll see what Emma's referring to on the S&P. So I don't necessarily trade the S&P, but I can analyze it. It's the same analysis both ways. So there's nothing that's really different. So Emma mentioned that on the 1 hour, there was a head and shoulders. So let me just go ahead and mark up some zones real quick, so I can kind of see what you were looking at, Emma. So I'm just going to draw the zones from this area right here. Let's see, so one zone right there. Let's see, Emma mentioned 1 hour has upside head and shoulders. So I'm trying to see what you were looking at there. Yeah, because I don't necessarily trade patterns, but if I draw these zones here, it makes it a lot easier for us to look at. Here, let me just redraw the entire zones because it's kind of hard to see from here. Let me just draw this up real quick. Let's go back to US 30. See, I don't have a, I set an alert here for this guy. So when price comes back down and tests the pivot, we might be looking for some buy scalps here actually. So David, looks like your analysis for the sell might not be playing out. It's all good. We're, we'll just see how this ends up playing out from there. Let me check the other charts real quick. Yeah, so I'm just checking this out real quick. Yes, going back to the S&P, I'll just draw my zones real quick so that we can identify kind of what Emma's looking at. So I don't necessarily trade patterns at all. So I'm going to try to see what you were seeing, Emma. But this is why I don't like trading patterns, because it's very subjective, right? What you see could be completely different from what I see and from what everyone else sees. But I'll see if I can spot what you're looking at. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see it here. The zones here are really, really messy. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna draw zones from this earlier area, because looking at current price right now, damn, US 30 is pushing up heavy right now, like super high. Let's check this real quick. Yeah, it looks like we'll be looking for some buy scalps at this point. So yeah, David, looks like that sell that we were looking at earlier, it might play out eventually, but not from this zone. It's probably gonna create another zone higher, because it did break the structure.
What I'm looking at on the 4 hour, do you remember the chart I sent you last week with the imbalances above?
I think so. Let me check real quick.
Yeah, go to our chat. I sent you a chart with imbalances above that were never touched. It's actually floating right in the middle of them right now.
Chat real quick.
I sent you a chart with a couple drawings with the with some imbalances.
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff.
That's actually where it's floating right now.
Oh, I can see it. The one that you did on the 15, right? There we go.
No, that was for last week. Go to the previous charts. It'll have like 3 drawings on it because those are different time frame imbalances.
Might be this one.
All right, so yeah, you should have another chart with those. That's where it's floating right now in between a 4 hour imbalance.
Okay, I see it right here.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, it's probably gonna reject off one of these points here.
So those are different time frames, stuff that I look at, and that's exactly where it is.
Yeah, that's where it is right now. It's at 31,800. So probably around 31,900 it'll drop.
So that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'll keep following it. We'll see. I mean, if we see some buy scalps, we'll take some buy scalps. If not,
Because if you think about it, right now, all it could be clearing just all the liquidity of the equal highs that it made.
Yeah, no, I can see that too. And then also the sentiment.
This morning it dropped to trigger all the sells. Now it's fucking moaning to trigger all the buys. So the market's going to be balanced. All the sellers are wiped. All the buyers are going to be triggered, and it could dump. It shouldn't make a new all-time high. It just shouldn't, right? That just doesn't make sense. But who knows? All we can do is do our analysis and look to the left and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that would, I mean, if this didn't break above,
it's right in a 4 hour imbalance right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can see.
Let me draw. I'll send you a new chart. Clean one.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Let me just, yeah, we'll keep looking at it. I mean, if it keeps pushing up, we'll just take some buy scalps. No big deal. So yeah, we are looking for some buy scalps here now, guys. Because we do have a bullish bias, but we'll have to wait for it to come down. I do have an alert set for this pivot down here. So price comes down, test the pivot, it'll alert me, and then we can take some buy scalps. But other than that, I'm still looking for this head and shoulders here off S&P. I don't necessarily see it, Emma. I see a head and shoulders this way, not in like it's inverted. So I don't know if this is what you were looking at here. Let me just pull up the tool real quick for the head and shoulders. So I could kind of see it right here. Oh yeah, so this is probably what you see, Emma. You saw that head and shoulders right there, right? So that looks like it. It's a messy head and shoulders, but I mean, it does do the job if that's the case there. But like I mentioned, guys, I don't trade patterns, so my head and shoulders probably doesn't look good at all. But this is kind of what I see from what I was trying to see what Emma was mentioning. But yeah, no, definitely this looks like this could possibly be the head and shoulders that Emma was mentioning right here, the inverted head and shoulders. But yeah, going back to US 30. Now that price is breaking above here, we're just waiting for it to come down. We want it to reject off the pivot and structure around this area. And then when that happens, sorry guys, whenever someone joins the Zoom, it freezes my screen. So that's why my tools get all messed up. So right here, we just want to come down, retrace, reject off the pivot and structure. Once that happens, we can take a buy. So until that happens, we're just going to be waiting. All right, let me see if there's anything else here real quick. So Funky wants me to take a look at the DAX. So I did look at the DAX on the scalps over here, but I'll look at it on the higher time frame. It's a big bullish move right here. So looking at the DAX over here, let's mark it up for you, Funky. So here's the DAX. I'll show you guys how I analyze things from scratch. Here's a naked chart. First thing I do is I turn on the K² SR indicators so that we can identify the structures. So got one there, got one right here. We've got one right there. Right there. And this one above here. All right, cool. So look at the DAX here. We need to get a higher. Well, I mean, it's pushed up so high, but just looking at this here, I'll just analyze it from this point. Once we analyze these zones right here, you can see that we have, some perfectly nice drawn zones where you can see price rejects off these zones perfectly, right? So next thing we do is we turn on the momentum indicator right here, and then we identify the direction of momentum. So looking at this here, we have a rejection off this structure. We have a buy signal right here. So as soon as price breaks and closes past structure above here, that's pretty much what indicated this bullish move right here. So rejection, buy signal, break and close past structure. Looks like a bullish move from that point. If you took that, looks like you would have hit full TP off of that, Funky. So it's bullish on the higher time frame, but this is mostly just from that market open push, right? So the market opened right here at 6 a.m. or 6:30, pushed up for that hour, and then it just continued pushing up higher and higher. And then I think, let's see, James wants me to take a look at S&P. So I did analyze that last night, but I'll just redraw it for you guys again here. And I'm going to do the same analysis that I did for the DAX. This is the same analysis I do for everything, not just indices, but I also do this for the Forex pairs as well. So I'm going to turn on the K2SRs right there. Nice, nice. So Funky said, yep, full TP, thanks. Yeah, so looks like Funky actually took that trade. So congrats, Funky, on entering that trade there. That was a good identification, using that specific strategy or even the scalping strategy in general. So I'm going to mark this up right here for the S&P. All right, the S&P is like super messy right now. Let me just fix this right here. All right. So the S&P, I mean, along with like a lot of other indices, they've been really choppy the past couple of weeks now. So due to that choppiness, you can see that the zones here are really, really messy. It's kind of hard to see where things connect and where they don't connect. But anyways, once we have that lined up right there, we can hide the SRs. And then you guys can see from this point that, it does respect these zones, but the zones are kind of all over the place, right? So just looking at this here, we turn on the momentum indicator. You can see that the most recent signal was a buy signal right here, right? But there's so many zones of rejection here, because you guys can see if I take off the momentum indicator, you can see that price generally rejects off these zones, right? Price will come up, reject off the zone, come down, reject off the zone, and it bounces from zone to zone. So looking at this right here, although we do have a buy signal, it's currently rejecting off this zone right here. So I personally wouldn't take any long-term holds for S&P until price closes like above this area or below this area down here. Because what's going to happen within this area is the price just keeps bouncing around, right? So you can see if I take this off right here, you can see when price broke into this zoned area right here, it just kept bouncing around. Once price broke below the zone right here, like I mentioned, see how I drew the zone right here? When price breaks below the zone, it pushes down to the next zone right here. And then same situation right here. See how I marked this above here? When price breaks above the zone, it pushes above here. So that's why I wouldn't take any trades right now off the S&P unless, it breaks above or below this area, because it'll probably just bounce around this area right here. So it's stuck within these two zones. It's probably just going to bounce around from here down and then back up until it breaks, above here. Then we take the buy, or until it breaks below here, we take the sell. So I wouldn't take any trades right now for the S&P unless it's a scalp. So I'm looking on the 1 hour right here, right, guys? So the analysis from the 1 hour to scalp is totally different. For the 1 hour, these are going to be longer holds. And this is where you want to catch the bigger moves. Like, for example, here, if you took the sell right here, like I mentioned, when price broke below the structure, this move would have been huge, because if you measure this, you can see that this is like a 5,000 pip move. It's 517 points, which would be equivalent to about 5,000 pips. So that's a big move right there. But if we're looking at scalps, then we're only going for like 500 pips. We're not going for 5,000 pips. We're going for 500 pips. So scalps are going to be way different, with regard to the intraday analysis. So right here, there's just no entry that's available on the intraday. So I wouldn't take any of these trades right here, James. I think it's just too risky for you to take these scalps. You did mention on the 1 hour, and there's your 1 hour analysis. There's just nothing there to take at this point until price breaks above here or below here. So just keep that in mind, James, before you take this on the higher time frame. But let's go back to the scalps over here. So it looks like price is still bouncing around this area. There's no scalp entries here for the DAX. The nearest zone is going to be way down here. Actually, there's another zone that was created right over there. Right, so I'm gonna have to redraw these zones. I'll redraw them when price comes back down, but currently right now price is just too high for us to really want to take these trades. So looking at this over here, it's close to the scalp right here. So let me just fix this right here real quick. This got close, but it didn't touch the pivot, right? We're looking for this setup right here. We want this setup right here to happen over here. If this happens over here, then we'll take a scalp. But until that happens, there's not going to be any entry. So we're just got to be patient, and we got to wait for it to set up. Because if you enter too early, you could get burnt. Like, I wouldn't recommend entering for a buy here, because what could happen is price can swing back from this point, and then you could have just waited for a better entry when it rejected off down here, right? So I would hold off on that. But just like I mentioned, this is pretty much what we're waiting for. We're waiting for the same setup right here to appear over here, which will happen. It'll happen eventually, right? There's a bunch of setups that happened last night, like right here, or I mean, not that right there, actually. There's no rejection off the pivot right here, actually. So the same setup right here, if you took that setup right there, that would have hit TP, is the same setup that we're looking for over here as well. So setup right here, rejection off pivot and structure, rejection off pivot and structure. We're looking for another rejection off the pivot and structure right here for us to take another scalp off this trade. So that's pretty much what we're waiting for here, guys. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat right now, because we do have some free time as we are, as we're looking for these setups to appear. So let's see. Yeah, I'm just looking at the Zoom chat right now, see if there's any questions. But yeah, but until we have any entries here, we're not going to force any moves. Let's see, Billy sent me a picture. Let's see. Nice. So Billy over here took a couple trades. Let's see. Billy took, nice. He took 2 trades on both of his phones. So he's got his phone here at this account. He made 590 off that one. And then his other account, he made 245. So nice work, Billy. Oh, damn. So it's still pushing up. Yeah, so you're holding those 2 buys right there. So I'll save this over to save messages. So if you guys have any trades that you guys want me to save, just send them over to me either through DM or in any of the chats, and then I can save them for you. Because what I do is I save all of our profits here, and then at the end of the day, I post everyone's profits for the day. So if you guys want me to post them in the public groups, you guys can send them over to me. Otherwise, I mean, at this point, there's just not much for us to look at right now because this is going to keep pushing up, and we're not going to enter randomly. We're going to wait for an actual entry to appear before we hop into those trades. So let me answer some of these questions real quick as we continue on. Hey, morning, Vishnu. How's it going? Funky said, JPY drew zones on the 4-hour, buy, scalp on 10-minute. No, Funky. If you're scalping, we just scalp on one time frame. We don't draw zones on the higher time frame. So like if I was to scalp on JPY on the 10-minute, I'm drawing my zones on the 10-minute, right? So you can see right here, these 10-minute zones, they're perfectly fine. So if you were to take any of these trades here, see how they reject off the pivot and structure off the 10-minute, you could have taken any of these trades here. You don't have to go on the 4-hour because if you go on the 4-hour, your zones are going to be too far out and you're going to miss a lot of trades. So if you took any of these scalps here, there's a win right there, another win right there, a trade that's currently pending right here. But you can see that if you just draw these zones here on the 10-minute, it's perfectly fine. But this is what I see here on the 10-minute for odd JPY. Yeah, no, Funky. That's for intraday trading because if you're scalping, the 4-hour time frames don't really matter because you're not trying to look 4 hours ahead, right? You're only looking 10 minutes ahead. So if you're scalping on the 10-minute, you're going to look on the 10-minute. If you're scalping on the 30-minute, you're going to look at the 30-minute. Because the problem, if you draw your zones on 4-hour, so let me just show you real quick. If you draw your let me just grab the closest zone here, and I'm just going to show you what I mean by that. So if you draw your zones here on the 4-hour, these zones aren't necessarily going to line up with the 10-minute. I mean, they might overlap them, but they're going to be so big that you're not going to know what you should be following. Because if you're analyzing on the 4-hour and you're scalping on the 10, this is going to show you what's going to happen 4 hours from now, right? Like think about how many 10-minute candles are within a 4-hour candle. It's just way too many candles. You know, I could probably do the math off that. Let's see. So there's 60 minutes, 60 times 4. So there's 240 minutes, you know, in a 4-hour candle. So if you divide that by 10, you got 24 10-minute candles. Like that's a lot of candles to have within one little area if you're drawing your zones on the 4-hour here, right? So right here, I mean, obviously it does line up sometimes, but you're going to get some bad zones here in some areas. I mean, technically you can do that, but if you look on the 10-minute, there's like way more zones here. See all these zones here? So you could have had a lot more entries if you're on the 10-minute, but if you're on the 4-hour, like you're still going to get good zones here, obviously. Like you can take these trades here. Like there's one trade right here. There is, we would skip these right here because they're on both sides. This would have been a loss. See, if you're looking at these higher zones, you're going to run into some bad trades here because your zones are they're too far out. Because if you go on the 10-minute, there's like way more zones in between. Where see if you weren't taking these 4-hour zones, you would have avoided this loss right here, because there's no zones there. So if I take this off, see how there's no zones right here. So if you're on the 10-minute, you would have avoided these trades right here. Not to say that it doesn't work. It's just that they're going to be less accurate. Because like obviously there's going to be a couple wins here, but if you're on the 10-minute, you'd have more accurate zones because you're trading on that shorter time frame. So just keep that in mind, Funky. That's it still works, but like I mentioned, you're going to get some incorrect zones if you do that off the 4-hour. So just keep that in mind when you're moving forward. Funky said, "Wow, I've definitely got that concept confused. Thought you said to draw on the higher time frame. Makes sense now. I must have mixed up the lessons. Thank you, Shawn. What's the sweet spot?" There really isn't a sweet spot that I know for odd JPY because I don't trade JPY. I don't trade Forex for scalps. You know, it just depends on your spread. If your spread's too wide, it's going to be impossible for you to scalp, because on the 10-minute, your sweet spot's probably going to be 10 to 15 pips, right? If your spread, like my spread's fine, it's 2 pips, but if your spread's like 5 pips, you're going to have to pay the spread both ways. So if your spread's 5 pips and you're going for a 10 pip target, you're not going to make any profit because you got to pay 5 pips both ways to cover the spread. So if I do scalp for Forex, I'm usually on the 30-minute. I'm not scalping on the 10-minute unless your spread is like less than a pip or around a pip. But here, let me just show you real quick. So like if you're here on the 30-minute, the sweet spot for that's going to be a little different. It's going to be like maybe 20 to 30 pips. So if I go on JPY here on the 30-minute, and I'm looking for some scalps here. So let's see. So yeah, let me just turn this off right here. So I'm just looking at the most recent scalp, which would be right here. So this would have been the most recent scalp down here. If I'm scalping this on the 30-minute, which is generally the time frame that I would scalp Forex on. I personally don't scalp Forex anymore because, obviously I just trade US 30. But if you were to take the scalp here, see the sweet spot would probably be around 15 to 30 pips. So right here, this would be the move for there. But I don't have the sweet spot because I don't trade this. Like, obviously you guys know that I only trade US 30 when I scalp. I trade the US 30 in the DAX, but I don't trade Forex for scalping. One way that you can do it is you can put the stop loss at like in the middle of the pivots. So if you pull this down to the middle of the pivots right here, it'd be about 20 pips, right? So that'd probably be the sweet spot for this specific move. But you have to do some actual testing, Funky, in order to, figure this out. Because the only reason I know the sweet spot for US 30 is because I back tested this like 10 years back. Like, I knew what the sweet spot was because I saw the same pattern just repeating itself. For JPY, you have to figure out the pattern, because I would give you the number if I had it, but I don't have it. So I'm not gonna give you a magical number where it's like, oh, the sweet spot's 15 pips. Although it does look like it's 15 to 30 pips. But yeah, so like looking at this here. So I'll show you another example. So again, right here, we have another rejection off pivot and structure right there. So if you were to take a short position, either here or either here, so say for example, right here, you can see the sweet spot for this is about, it's going to vary, right? So like the middle of the spread here, or the middle of the pivots, is like 10 pips. So this is going to vary differently. So this is 10 pips, this is 20 pips. So this is something that you should probably, yeah, and like what CT mentioned over here, sweet spot should be about 50% of the last high low. So the last high low is like above here, about 30 pips, like I mentioned. Half of that's going to be 15, right? So like I mentioned, it's going to be between 15 and 30 pips. So again, right there, 15 pips. Thanks for that that tip, CT. And then again, right here, the high low is going to be about 40 pips. So like I mentioned, between 15 and 30 pips, that'll be around 20. So just keep that in mind. I mean, there's different ways to identify it, but it's just really going to depend on what you're looking for there. So like this rejection off this point, if you were to take that short, like I mentioned, it'll probably be between 15 and 30, right? So if we do 15 right here, that'd be perfectly fine. Or if you do 30, that'd be perfectly fine too. So that's something that you would have to figure out on your own, Funky. I don't have the sweet spot for JPY because it varies so often. I don't trade this enough to know how it moves. So just keep it between 15 and 30 pips. If you're trading on the 30-minute, if you're trading on the 10-minute, it's going to be a lot smaller, obviously, right? It's going to be probably 10 to 15 pips. All right, let me just check real quick. Scroll up. All right, so short scene and Razul want me to take a look at gold. So let me just take a look at US 30 again to see if there's any scalps that have appeared yet. So not yet, guys. We're still waiting for this to come down, test the pivot and the structure so that we can take a scalp move. So let me go to gold real quick and we'll analyze that for you guys. So just a reminder, guys, I'm not in any trades right now. I've been looking for trades, but I haven't taken anything yet. Generally, like it can be hit or miss for market open. Market's either really fast or it's really slow. So if you guys were following my gold analysis from last night, so I analyzed this from you guys last night, right? So if you guys were in my live session last night on Sunday, I analyzed this for you guys. I mentioned that this would be a sell right here. And if you guys took that sell, it looks like it hit full TP. Obviously, I didn't take it, but if you guys did take it, congrats to you guys who locked in this profit. I wish I took it, but you guys can see this markup. This is from last night. So I'm not sure if you were here, Shortstein and Razul, last night for my gold analysis, but it played out exactly how we mentioned it. So if you guys want to go back and rewatch my analysis off this from yesterday, you guys can rewatch the replay from yesterday's live session, but it did play out exactly like I mentioned. So I'll just reanalyze gold again real quick for you guys, and I'll show you what I identified there. So I'm gonna zoom out from this point. I'm going to turn on the K2SR so we can identify these zones. And this is the same analysis that I did for the indices, right? It's the same exact thing. First thing I do is I draw up the zones so that we can identify the rejection points. And then once I drop the zones, then I identify the direction of momentum. And then after that, we take our trades. So this thing played out exactly how we identified it to play out. So right here, we have all the zones on the 4 hour. Next up, we need the floor. So in order to get the floor, we're going to go in the higher time frame to get the lower zones. So we go on the 8 hour, no zone, go to the daily, no zone, go on the weekly, and there goes our zone. It's way down here. So I could see gold being pretty bearish for a while now. So just looking at that, once I have all my zones drawn up, I turn off my zones. I zoom out from this point, and then I turn on the momentum indicator. So once I turn on the momentum indicator, we can identify, where our bias is. So obviously that trade that I identified right here was from this pattern over here that kept repeating itself, right? So I mentioned that what we're looking for is a rejection, the direction of momentum following the previous signal. So rejection, sell signal, break and close past structure right here. And then we enter the short position from there, right? Full TP. So that's what we're looking for there. And then the same pattern just keeps repeating itself, right? So again, right here, we identify the rejection from this point, the sell signal right here, breaking close past structure right here, and it pushed down here, right? So again, same situation right here, price broke structure right here. Another sell entry off there, full TP, right? And then price came back up, broke structure again off this candle. And then with that said, it's the same exact thing, right? Another short position right there, full TP. So it's the same pattern that just keeps repeating itself. I mean, obviously right here, we have a bearish bias because what we could see happening here is price is going to come down to test the next structure down here. So it's got a long way to go. It might not be a smooth drop, but eventually it's probably going to continue dropping. So if you go back and look at previous data, so if I zoom out from this point, I'll go on the daily chart. So you guys can see right here that the last time price broke structure, so like I was comparing this to what happened back in, I think 2012, I think. But like right here, we have this where it broke structure and I anticipated a drop, right? If we go back here and I'm still like within the zone, if I go back far enough to identify, the last time price broke that area. So again, right here in 2012, right? This is the same pattern that I just mentioned for you guys. We had the rejection. We had the sell signal. Price broke and closed past structure. So back in 2012, the same pattern, like just did the same thing, right? So we had the rejection. We had the sell signal right here. And then what happened from that point? It pushed down all the way down there, just like I mentioned, right? It's the same exact pattern. So it happened here in 2012, and it's just happening again right now in 2021. So rejection, sell signal, that was right there. Breaking close past structure, dropped all the way down there for how many pips? For about 261 pips. Well, actually, I don't trade gold, so I'm not sure if this is 261 pips or 2,000 pips, but it's a big drop. So the same pattern that played out right there is playing out again right here. It's the same exact pattern. So that's kind of my bias for gold. And I do see it dropping from this point. So, I mean, if you guys want to take this, you guys can. I mean, it's really up to you guys. I don't trade gold, so I'm not going to take it. I don't trade stuff that I don't like to trade. I only trade stuff that I know I'm good at. So I'm good at US 30, and that's why I trade US 30. But if you guys want to take this trade, I mean, you guys are more than welcome. It's just going to be a risky trade overall, because this might not drop, like it might not drop that smoothly. What could happen here is this can still consolidate a bit, right? And that's why I wouldn't enter right here, because even though this hit full TP, this can easily pull back, retest the structure, and then drop. It's not going to be a smooth, just like straight drop, right? You can't just enter a sell and be like, oh, it's going to drop all the way. It never works out like that. It usually bounces around before it drops. But that's pretty much my analysis for gold. And I still think it's going to continue dropping. I just don't think it's going to be a smooth drop down. All right, so that's it for gold right there. Let me see if there's anything else for me to look at before we continue on. Let's go back to US 30 real quick. Yeah, I'm still waiting for that trade to appear. So the market opened right here at 6:30. We're still looking for that signal for the daily entry. There hasn't been a signal yet. Damn, this thing is still pushing up. So I do have an alert set here on this pivot. So when price comes down and touches the pivot, it'll give me an alert, and then I can start looking for some scalps. But until then, there's just no entries that are available just yet.
It's still bouncing in my 4-hour imbalance.
Is it? Yeah, let me go
Yes,
back
it
to
is.
your chart. Okay, let's see.
Oh, actually, I sent you a new one.
Oh, did you? Okay, let me
Yep.
pull it up. Yeah, I'm just gonna draw my zones where you have yours drawn up. Let me see. David sent me his. Let's see. Gotcha. Okay. All right. So your imbalance is around.
The top of the imbalance should be at 912.
Let's go real quick over here. I'm gonna draw my zone.
So right now, the previous 15-minute candle did not close above 912.
So the top of it is 912, right?
Yep, for the imbalance on the 4-hour time frame.
Yeah. And what's the lower end of it? I'm just gonna draw it on here.
Yep, hold on. So it should be. Go back to 683.
683. Around 680. Wait, 683, like way down here?
Yeah, because it's 4-hour candles. Because there was
okay.
it was a huge push to the downside.
Yeah, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put this on a different chart. Let me put this on the 1 hour actually. So let's go over here. Go back to, yeah, you're on the 4 hour, right? So we have this marked up here. See, maybe I have a zone that's lined up with that. So you said, what is it? What was it again, David?
912 and 683.
683. Oh, it's 683 and 912. All right, cool. So here is David's imbalance here that he drew up. Turn that off. Yeah, so we'll see if it breaks. I mean, if it doesn't break above it, I'll probably just enter another sell and just ride this down. I'll wait for it to confirm, but yeah, there's David's imbalance right there, guys, for a US 30. Yeah, we'll see how price reacts to this this area right here. Yeah. All right, so let me get back to the chat, see if there's anything else that I'm missing over here. All right, so I did look at gold. Let's see, Gene Vaughn said, with the market going upwards so high, should it reverse? It could, Gene Vaughn, but who knows? That's why you don't just enter trades off emotion. Because if you guys just look at this and you guys are like, oh, it's gonna keep pushing up, or you think, oh, it's pushed up too high and it's gonna drop, odds are you're probably gonna lose that trade, because you have to actually analyze it, Gene Vaughn. Don't just go off emotion and be like, oh, it's going up, it's gotta keep going up. Or if you're like, oh, it's going up too high, it's gonna have to drop. You're just gambling at that point. You might as well go to a casino and just play roulette or something if you want to bet on red or black for it to go up or down, right? When you're trading, you got to use actual analysis. Don't just take a trade because you feel like it's going to go one way. You got to actually analyze it, make sure that there's something that actually lines up with it, and take the trade. Don't just hop into a trade because you think it's going to go up or down. So just keep that in mind, because there's a lot of people that just they enter trades and they're just like, oh, it's reached an all-time high, it has to drop, and then it ends up it keeps pushing up higher and higher. So like, just because it's right here, we're not going to enter a sell. We're going to enter a sell if there's a confirmation that it's going to drop, right? So just keep that in mind when you guys are looking at these trades, and don't just enter it because you think it's going to do something. Make sure that you enter trade when you know it's going to do something, not just because you think it. All right. So anyways, let me go back over here real quick and see what else we're missing. So Sorry, bro. I'm gonna say your name completely wrong. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but Epa man. I'm not gonna try. I'm just gonna call you by your last name. Kaparos. So Kaparos mentioned. Do you think DJ will do a new high today? So the previous all-time high is here at 32,000. I mean, it might, but like I mentioned, just with Gene Vaughn, we're not sure if it's going to happen because this can reject off this point. This is a 4-hour candle close. I mean, the 4-hour candle. So if we're looking on the 4-hour, we still have 3 hours left on this candle. So price can easily move up and down between that time period, right? So the all-time high is going to be right here at 32,084. And it might or it might not. We don't really know until it happens, right? So I wouldn't take any trades here for a sell until you have a confirmation, because what could happen is, so this is the all-time high right here. And then we're looking at the, if I look at the sentiment here, there's a lot of short sellers here, right? So David, I don't think the short's going to play out, bro. With the sentiment going so high right here, I think prices just going to keep pushing up. So just, oh, gotcha. Yeah, Kaparos. Kaparos said, it's a Greek name. Yeah, no, I don't want to butcher your name, bro. So I don't want to say your name wrong. But yeah, I'll just call you by your last name, Kaparos. Hopefully that's cool. But yeah, I was looking at the US 30 right here, Kaparos. So like you mentioned, if it's gonna, break the all-time high, it might break the all-time high. The reason for that's because the sentiment is so, everyone is shorting the market. So you can see that this number right here shows that 69% of retail traders, traders like me and you, are entering short positions. So if there's a lot of people entering short positions here, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to do the opposite, and they're going to push it higher and higher to pretty much, destroy these short sellers right here. So I don't want to trade where everyone else is trading. If you're looking at the market like everyone else, everyone's looking at it the same way. Everyone's looking at it like, oh, it's going to reach an all-time high. It has to drop, right? But odds are it's probably not going to drop. It's probably going to keep pushing up higher and higher. So just keep that in mind if you guys are looking at this. I don't necessarily have a bias yet until I have a confirmation. If price ends up breaking this all-time high, then it's probably going to keep pushing up higher. If not, then it's probably going to drop. But I mean, we really wouldn't know, because if you guys look at it from the market makers, institutions perspective, if there's this many retail traders short, how do you think they're going to make money? They're not going to make money by dropping price. If they drop price, then they're going to make less money. If they push price up because more people are short, what do you think is going to happen here? Everyone has their stop losses in the same area, right? Like for the short sellers here, I'm almost positive that everyone has their stop losses right over here, right? Because they're watching it to see if price tests that new all-time high. So I think price might keep pushing up, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Obviously, we have 3 hours left on this candle, so it's got a lot of time left. But as you can see from the sentiment, this number is increasing heavily. It was at about 62%, now it's 69%. I think if this number keeps growing to 70%, then I'm probably going to see price continue to push up higher and higher. So just keep that in mind, guys. When you guys are analyzing everything, make sure to look at everything from a full perspective. Some people just like to look at price action. That doesn't always play out properly. You have to factor in a lot of other things, because this right here, this is David's imbalance right here. But we'll see. I mean, if price breaks above it, it's probably gonna keep pushing up higher. If not, it's probably gonna drop. Yeah, so CT mentioned watch it go sideways in this upper range accumulation to trap buyers, then drop. Exactly. So exactly what CT mentioned right there, right? So CT mentioned that it's probably gonna, well, I mean, this is probably what's gonna happen from CT's analysis right there. He mentioned that price might come up here and then consolidate within this area, right? So I think this is probably what's going to happen. I think CT's pretty spot on with his analysis there. This is probably going to consolidate sideways from here. And then it's going to accumulate a lot of buyers here, because what happens is when that happens and price locks into this area, what's probably going to happen from that point is that people are going to get scared, right? So about 70% of people are short right here. And once price starts to push up higher and higher, people are going to get scared. And then when people get scared, they shift to the buy entry, right? Because they go from the short bias to a long bias, because once it starts to consolidate right here, they're going to think that price is going to shoot up. So when sentiment starts to change, like right now it's at 70%. Once it starts to go the opposite direction, so there's 70% of people short. Once it goes like 60 to 70% of people buying, then they're going to dump price, right? You kind of want to make sure that you're not doing what everyone else is doing. Because if you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're probably going to lose because majority of people lose at trading, right? Because everyone does the same thing. That's why you guys have to do things differently and analyze it um, from a bigger perspective, because you guys can't just keep doing the same thing everyone else is doing. Obviously, majority of people fail at trading and like majority of people flop. And that's why I'm more focused on scalping, right? Because if you're looking at this from a bigger perspective, I mean, yeah, you can have bigger payouts, but odds of you being right are going to be really risky because a lot of things can happen within this move here. Like looking at this here, this move right here is like 1,500 pips. So instead of just going for 1,500 pips, I'd rather scalp in between there and then catch 500 pips in both directions rather than just going one direction. But anyways, let me go back to the scalp charts over here and see if there's anything. Yeah, nothing there yet. Well, we're still waiting for this pattern to set up here where price rejects off the pivot in the structure. It hasn't done that yet, so there's just no entry for us to take at this time. So we'll have to wait and see how it plays out, but we'll keep watching. A lot of coffee. Wow, look at that bullish move right there. Yeah, so price is breaking that structure right there. I'm not going to enter it though. I'm not going to chase it. But like I mentioned, see how there's a lot of short sellers? Price is probably going to keep pushing up. It's probably just going to keep pushing up. So we'll keep watching this and we'll see how it pushes. I think it's going to test the all-time high possibly. Yep, that is the all-time high. Yeah, I think price might even break it actually. If more people keep selling, so right now it's 69%. If this goes up to like 70%, oh, there we go, 70%, right? This is going to keep pushing up for sure, I think. So David, I think this is going to break the all-time high, dude. It's broken your imbalance right there.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here watching.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here watching too. I'm not taking these trades. This is too risky.
The break doesn't necessarily matter. It's where the candle closes.
Yeah, I know. It's still got 3 hours though, so it's got a long time to go.
Well, once I mark up the imbalance on the 4 hour, I go down to the lower time frames, 30 and the 15, and mostly the 15 to watch.
Did it break above it already? Oh, yeah, it's about to.
Yeah, it's above the imbalance, but let's see. I want to see where these close. It shouldn't. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen for sure, right? We can just do our analysis.
Yeah.
But what we do know is the London close coming up soon within the next hour.
Yeah.
It shouldn't. That should make the high of the day during that time frame. So if we do make a new higher high, I mean, it's not going to be much higher.
Yeah, it's not going to keep pushing. Like, I mean, at that point, they'll.
I mean, look, the candle's already back in the imbalance. So let's see where it closes. Who knows? My son's wilding.
Yeah, you want to trade young?
He's trying to trade. He's sitting here on my lap. I'm just sitting here watching, man.
Yeah, no,
I got my son in my lap, chilling.
Yeah, I'm not really trying to enter anything. I'm just waiting for these. I'm mostly waiting for these scalps.
If you want to see something like that doesn't make sense, right? Go look at the dollar index and then all the USD pairs, and then you can obviously see that everything's messed with.
Yeah, so the DXY is super strong. Let's go over here to the dollar pairs. Your USD. So this is dropping right there. Wow, I might take this sell here for your USD. GU right here.
Yeah, so if you look at the big picture and see what's going on, obviously, right, US 30 is being messed with heavy because the dollar is strong and the dollar pairs are moving in their favor.
Yeah, exactly. UJ's pushing up, NU's pushing down. Or actually, NU's not even pushing down. It's weird.
That's why I'm just hanging out, man. A lot of this stuff doesn't necessarily make sense right now, so I'm just watching.
Yeah, that's weird. The dollar index. Let me match this up real quick. NCD NX. Hmm. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense, bro. The DXY is pushing up and the New Zealand dollar is pushing down. It's weird. But then NZD is pushing up. Hmm. Yeah. But yeah, guys, like what David just mentioned right now, a lot of stuff here, a lot of the fundamentals are just not adding up. So this is a risk. I feel like the market's being heavily manipulated right now because of the new stimulus news that was released over the weekend. The Senate just passed a new stimulus. If you guys are following the news. So, with this big news event here, the market's going to have to react one way or another. And generally it should be moving in one direction, but everything is kind of bouncing around. So looking at the, US 30 is going to definitely test that high. Go back to US 30 real quick. Yeah, it's pushing up. So like CT was mentioning, price might consolidate within this area. And I agree with him. That could probably happen. But, we're probably going to have to just wait to see how this ends up playing out before we enter this. I mean, if I see scalps, I'll take the scalps. But there's no scalps available yet, right, guys? So we're looking for this here. We're looking for this rejection off the pivot and structure, but we don't have any of that over here. Let me see if there's another zone, no zones. So until we have an entry, there's not going to be really much for us to take. We're not going to take a trade off speculation. And let's see, CT send me a chart real quick. Let's see. Yeah, so I can see this happening right here. So this is what CT drew up for me. He has order block right there. He identified, a possible fake out, a break past the all-time high, and then a heavy drop down. And I could definitely see that playing out too. So yeah, this is CT's chart right here. He has order blocks drawn up right there, and then he has his, he has this little setup right here where he was mentioning where price is probably going to consolidate within this area, which I agree with it. I could see it happening. Consolidate within this area or possibly break above here. Like break above here, fake out, come back down, consolidate before it ends up dumping all the way down. I could see that happening for sure. CT. So this kind of lines up, same analysis with David's analysis as well. We can see how this plays out, but I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see. I'll be taking scalps. Don't get me wrong. I'll be taking some scalps if I see some scalps, but I don't see any scalps right now. So until that happens, no trades. But we'll keep watching. So let's see. The next question over here was for Funky. Funky wants me to take a look at silver. So let me pull up silver for you guys. If you guys have questions, this is probably your best time to have me analyze things for you because we just don't have much to look at right now. We're just waiting for price to play out. Until price plays out, then we can start looking for entries. But right now, price is just choppy. Like US 30 right here, it's just too choppy. Until we have a scalp entry that's available, then we'll take some scalps. But until then, I'll be analyzing these other charts for you guys. So here's silver for Funky. I'm gonna zoom out from this point. First thing I'm gonna do is turn on my K2SRs. And you guys can see that I use the same analysis for indices, Forex, and for commodities like gold and silver, right? This works for everything. It's not just Forex, it's not just for indices. It works for literally everything. So I'm gonna analyze this for Funky real quick, draw my zones up so we can identify these rejection points. This right there. This right there. And this down here. All right, cool. So we have all these zones drawn up. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off my K2SRs. And you guys can see that price is respecting these zones perfectly, right? So I just drew these zones right now from today, and you can see that these zones have been tested since December. So price broke into this zoned area on December 15. And then since then, it's just been bouncing between this upper zone and this lower zone right here. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to turn on the momentum indicator to identify the direction of momentum so that we have a bias. Every time you guys trade, you guys should always have a bias, whether it be a buy or a sell. Sorry, wrong indicator. Let me move this to the top, actually. Let's see. Bring to the front. Okay. Okay, so looking at this here, the most recent signal was a buy, but then it rejected off this point. So this is kind of what I see happening right here. So price is currently within this area. We did have a buy signal, but it did reject off this area right here. So as you can see, price generally bounces from zone to zone, right? So for right here, we have a buy signal, but it did reject off this point. So what I could see happening here is price push below the structure with a sell signal And then if it ends up closing below here, then this would provide for a sell entry right here, right? So just looking at this point right here, if price ends up swinging down, and I'll show you another example here. So the same example here, see the buy signal? We had a buy signal right here, right? It rejected off this structure. It closed below here with the sell signal, and then it bounces from zone to zone. So you can, here, I'll just draw the rejection points. So rejection off here, rejection off here. What you're looking for is a close below the structure, because basically when price closes below the structure in the direction of momentum, it tests the next structure before either breaking above it or before rejecting off it. So like, for example, here, rejection, sell signal, it tested this structure. Rejection, buy signal, tested this structure. Rejection, sell signal, tested this structure. And then it just keeps testing, right? As it goes between. So you can see price just bounces from structure to structure. So if you guys have these K2SR structures, you guys can see that it makes it really easy for you to identify where price is going to bounce from, right? And then when price breaks the structure like this right here, it continues on to the lower structures, right? So it just breaks the structure here, test this one, and it's the same pattern, right? So right here, it started from above, came down below, came back above, then came back below. Once it broke, it's doing the same thing again right here. Price broke the structure, rejected from here, bounced back up to here, rejected from here. So from this point right here, these are the two things that can happen, Funky. So there's two things that can happen here for silver. It can repeat what it did over here, like I mentioned, right? So rejection, or no, sorry, breaking structure, rejection, rejection. It can reject from here and bounce up, or it can break below here. And you guys can see the pattern right here, right? So see how it rejected off this top? It rejected off this top here, sorry. Rejected off this top. Let me just turn off the momentum indicator so that you guys can see a little better. Okay, cool. So right here, you can see that price broke structure. As soon as it broke structure, it came down, tested, came back up, tested, and it bounced within this area. Consolidated before it broke below. So it consolidated sideways, then it broke below, and then it came down, right? So now it's consolidating again sideways. Same pattern that played out right here. And at this point, we're just waiting for it to either break above here so that it can consolidate within this area, or break below here so that it can continue down and then possibly consolidate around this area right here, right? So you guys can see that the same pattern just keeps repeating itself. If you guys look at these zones here, that's why these zones are so important, because if you guys have the zones, you guys can see exactly where price is going to go. I know this looks super messy, but here, let me just clean it up for you. So now that you guys have seen where my thought process is for silver, now that price is within this area down here, let me just clean this all up. Now that price is within this area, Funky, I'll show you the different scenarios that can possibly play out for silver right here. So looking at silver right here, you can see that price is currently within this zone and this zone right here. Like I mentioned, we turn on the momentum indicator. We have a buy signal here, but it rejected off this area. So what could happen here is price can either push down further and close below here, where you can take a sell, or price can bounce up from here, break above here, and then you can take a buy. But I wouldn't trade within this area right here, because this is just consolidation. The last thing you want to do is enter a sell, and then it shoots up. Vice versa, if you enter a buy, it can shoot down. So you want that confirmation above or below before you take this trade. But you know, obviously, I think it's going to have a bearish bias, because just looking at this and comparing this to gold, generally it moves the same direction as gold, right? So looking at gold right here, I mean, it's not exactly the same, but gold here is very, very bearish, right? And the reason for that is because the dollar is strong. So looking at silver over here, this is probably going to be bearish too, because looking at the dollar index, look how strong the dollar index is. It's pretty bullish, right? So if it continues to move bullish, what's going to happen here for silver? It's going to be bearish. Because if you guys are familiar with how the market moves, basically when price is going down, so when price is going down, that indicates that the second currency right here, the USD, is stronger than silver. Vice versa, when price is going up, right here, when price is going up, that means the first currency is stronger than the second currency. So with the dollar being very strong right now, we can have a sell bias here and anticipate this to drop. So I think what's going to happen here is price will drop. It'll provide a sell signal, and it'll continue to drop even further. So that's pretty much my my analysis for silver right there. So going back to US 30, let's see. There's just no entries right there. Now it's just bouncing around that area. Let me go back to the higher time frame. So yeah, just like I mentioned earlier, this is the same analysis that CT identified and the same thing that I agreed with as well. We're probably not going to see very much movement for US 30 for a bit. It's only 8 o'clock, so probably by 10 we'll start to see some more movement. But just looking at this here, there's just no scalps, right? We're looking for some scalps here, but there's no scalps that are available at this point. It looks like Monday's going to be a bit of a slow day for us until this comes down. But even if it does come down, the zone's like way down here. So we don't have any closer zones to that area. Yeah, looks like we're just gonna be sitting tight for a bit. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat, and I can take a look at Terrazzo said, let's see, Idgal sent me his chart too. So let me see Idgal's chart. So Idgal sent me his chart. Wow, nice. So Idgal was over here. He scalped gold. So very nice scalp right there, guys. So you guys can see here, if you guys have the indicators, you guys can apply the strategy yourself. You don't need me here. Nice work for Mr. Idgal over here. He took this scalp right here for gold. I wasn't even looking at that. But if you guys were taking that scalp for gold, let me go to the 10-minute chart. You guys can see in the Zoom that Idgal took that scalp right there for gold. So let me go to gold real quick. Right there. So you guys can see the same strategy that we're applying for US 30 applies for everything else. It's not just US 30, it applies for any other commodity as well. So like right here, this is where Mr. Idgal took that scalp entry. So I marked this up right here. It's the same exact entry that he took right there, right? So he sent me his chart right here. He took the scalp for full TP and he identified it perfectly. So looking at that same scalp analysis that we're looking for US 30 right now, he identified this rejection off the pivot and structure above here. He took a sell entry from there and he hit his full TP down there. It looks like he went for a big move right there. So nice work, bro. Just looking at that chart right here, this is his markup. Looks like he took that green candle right there. Let me see if I can find it on mine. Oh, so we actually took it from way up here. So he didn't even take. Well, there's actually a bunch of entries. So it looks like he was using a different chart. Let me see what chart data he was using, forex.com. Looks like, I don't know if there's more zones down here. But there's a bunch of entries here that were available for gold. So I'm not sure if you guys were, well, I mean, I know who's trading gold, but yeah, I don't know if any of you guys took these trades here. But if you guys were scalping gold like last night up until now, it looks like there were a lot of entries that were available. So let me just mark this up for you guys here. And great work if you guys caught these trades on your own. Obviously, I don't scalp gold, so I don't even trade gold in general. But if you guys were trading gold, looks like there was a bunch of entries that were available for you guys here. So that same scalp entry that I've been going over with you guys over here. David's a beer bag. Daughter wants nacho fries from Taco Bell. Nice, dude. Nice. They're pretty good. But yeah, looking at this right here. So if you guys are looking at these entries here for gold, for these scalps, it looks like there's a lot of entries that were available here. So all of these right here, it's the same requirements, right? So I'll put the requirements right here for that strategy so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So this is the K2 snipe strategy. So first, you just want to confirm wick rejection of K2 pivot, which can be any pivot. Confirm wick rejection of K2 SR zone. And lastly, just confirm wick rejection of K2 pivot does not touch candle body. And it's really simple. I mean, there's really no guesswork here. It's just a checklist, right? You just want to confirm a wick rejection off pivot. So this red candle right here rejects off this orange pivot right here. It also rejects off the K2 SR zone right here. So the first two requirements are met. Last requirement is just to confirm that this orange pivot doesn't touch the body. So it doesn't touch the body there. You could have entered a short position right there. So that would have hit full TP off that. And then there's a bunch of other entries here as well. So there's another one right here off this red one, another one off this green one right here. And there's a lot of entries here that you could have taken if you guys were scalping gold. Kind of makes me want to scalp gold now. So yeah, another full TP there. Same with this red candle right here. If you were to take that trade, another full TP there. So it looks like if you took these trades here for gold, there's a lot of entries that you guys could have taken. And there were some more last night too. So that's not just it. There's more right here as well. This red candle right here. If you took that, another full TP right there. If you guys took these two scalps over here for these two candles, another full TP right there. There's a lot of entries here that were available for gold last night if you guys were scalping gold. But yeah, I mean, nice work to Mr. Inklet for catching that right there. He caught that nice big drop. So if you guys are trading, if you guys are trading K2 strategies on your own, you guys probably have locked in a lot more profit than everyone else here that's just copying my scalps, because obviously we haven't had any scalps this morning. But if you guys are looking for scalps on your own, looks like there's a lot of entries here that you guys could hit. So nice work off that, bro. But yeah, I mean, other than that, and just a reminder, guys, if you guys want access to the indicators so that you guys can learn the strategy and apply it yourself, just go on the website, k2trades.com, click on K2 strategy course, and you can sign up there. So you can see all these charts here that people have been sending me, like this one right here from Mr. Inklet, where he took this sell for gold. He's applying it on his own, right? This is his chart. This isn't mine. So he marked it up on his own. He identified that entry and he took it for a full TP. Same with CT over here. So CT over here, you can see his chart looks way different from mine, right? He has a black chart, but he has an indicator, so he's able to take these trades on his own. So if you guys want to take these trades on your own and learn the strategy that everyone else is applying, it's available to you guys, but it's only available for a limited time. So I told you guys I was going to close it last week. What happened was when I closed the signups here, a bunch of people messaged me to sign up. Everyone wants to wait for the last minute. So I opened it back up, but I'm going to be closing it again this week. But after I close it this week, that's going to be it, because I don't want to be too focused on teaching. I want to be more focused on taking these trades on my own, because I'm missing out on a lot of these trades because I have mentoring sessions like all day and it takes up a lot of my time. So in order to make time for my own trading, I'm just going to limit the signups, and then the signups will reopen eventually. I just don't know when, right? Because if these scalps keep hitting, then I'm probably just going to want to trade and I'm not really going to want to teach as much. So that's, if you guys want to take the opportunity, I recommend you guys take it as soon as possible, because once it closes, it closes. And I'm not sure if we're going to reopen the signups for maybe a couple of days, a couple of months, maybe till next year, who knows? But yeah, I'm here to help you guys. If you guys are in K2 already, you guys are still going to have mentorship by me. But for the brand new people that want to sign up, obviously, I'd rather teach people that are already within K2 than teach brand new people, because obviously the strategy is very simple. As you guys can see here, there's only like two real requirements, right? Like looking at gold again, there's only two real requirements. It's just the wick rejection off the pivot and the structure. And Mr. Inklet here, he signed up like recently. Like I think he signed up like a couple of days ago, and like, he pretty much covered his subscription already with like one trade. Because if you took that gold trade, gold is worth a lot. So like, let's see, 34, 35 pips for gold. If you took a decent lot size, that's a pretty good win. And if you took all these 4 wins right here, this thing adds up pretty easily. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for about, these are 60 pip wins and these are 30 pip wins. So probably you could just like, balance it out. Let's see. So if you took all those trades there, these are 60 pip wins, these are 30 pip wins. If you took all of them there, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 times 50, or 5 times 50 pips. It's like a 250 pip win right there. So pretty solid for these trades here if you were to take these scalps. Unfortunately, I didn't take them, but if I did, that'd have been a pretty nice profit off that for gold right there. So let me go back to US 30 real quick. I don't think there's an entry yet. Yeah, so no entry yet. We're still waiting for this to play out, but there just hasn't been enough of a move for us to take, either a scalp in either direction. So we'll keep looking. Let me see if there's anything else here for these other indices. All the indices are moving the same right now. They're all pretty far out. There's no rejection off the pivot or structure anytime soon. So there just really isn't anything for us to enter at this point. The DAX, nothing there. Nice. So David said, in my car, K2 on the go. Yeah, if you guys have any other questions, this is probably your best time to get to reach me and have me answer any of your questions, because there just isn't any entries available right now. Because once the market starts to pick up, I'll be more focused on these scalps rather than answering any questions here. Nasdaq's choppy. I personally wouldn't trade Nasdaq right now. You can see how choppy this looks compared to the other indices, right? So look at these huge wicks back and forth. You can see that there's a lot of indecisiveness here for the Nasdaq. Comparing it to US 30 right here, this is a way smoother move up. So just keep that in mind, guys, when you guys are looking at these different assets. Make sure that they're actually moving smoothly, especially if you're scalping. You don't want to get caught in any whipsaws causing your price to kick you out. So here's Larishna. Nice. So Larishna, I'm not sure if you're here on the live. So Larishna said, she messaged me yesterday. She said, so I start my new challenge tomorrow. I said, let's get her funded. So she took her first trades today for US 30, and she locked in some pretty nice profit. So congrats to Larishna here. I'll save your profits here, Larishna, so we can post it in the profits for the day. But nice work. So she took 2 buys over here for US 30, and she locked in about 367. So great work off that, Larishna. And we're definitely going to make sure that you get funded this time. So she's trading on her own too, guys. So just like I mentioned, guys, if you guys want to learn how to trade on your own, using my strategies and my indicators, it's available to you guys. But you guys would have to sign up before it, before the sign up window closes. So other than that, Jamar said, if I'm already in K2 premium signals group, could I just pay for the indicator separately, or do I have to pay for the whole 200 course? So you have to go for the full subscription, Jamar, because here's the thing. If you get the indicators, I already know you're going to ask me questions. You're going to want to ask me certain things, right? So it's just going to, if we do that, then you're just going to have to upgrade anyways, right? So we don't do them separately. You would have to just sign up for the course. I mean, it's not a big deal, because look at Larishna over here. She took 1 trade and she covered her subscription already, right? Like, what's $200? You're basically getting it for free, because you cover your subscription with 1 trade. So the reason for that is because I don't want to have to deal with people that aren't 100% about their trading, right, guys? Because if you guys sat in on my session yesterday, I had a couple other people ask about that. I mean, basically, guys, if you guys sign up for the strategies, you guys can see everyone's profits here every day, right? Like Billy over here, he locked in 900. He already covered his subscription. You're technically getting the strategy and the indicators for free. The only reason that we charge for the strategies and indicators is because we don't want people to just join and not be serious about your trading. Obviously, if you look here, everyone's covering their subscription with a few trades. Like Mark over here, he makes 300 a trade. You cover your subscription with 1 trade. Trell over here locked in 407. So you're technically getting these strategies and stuff for free if you do things properly and you actually follow what you're supposed to do, right? Because I mean, look at Saquon over here. He's trading GU. He's not even trading US 30, and he's locking in 408 off that. So Quen over here, US 30. Obviously, US 30 is our favorite pair to trade here, but everyone else trades different things. Like Steven over here, he trades odd CAD, the DAX 30, and you guys cover your stuff pretty easily. Gerald over here trades the DAX 30, US 30, Deswell US 30. So you guys can literally cover your subscription with 1 trade or 2. But I'm just I don't want to make it too accessible, because if I make it too accessible, we're gonna get a bunch of freeloaders in the group, right? That's basically what's happening when you give something for free, and that's why there's a small little toll for you guys to use the indicators and stuff, but you guys cover your subscription with 1 trade. It's not really a big deal. And that's going to keep us and that's why we keep the more serious traders within K2, right? Because if you guys can afford it, then you guys are going to be serious about your trading. You're not going to be wishy-washy with your trading. Because the thing is with a lot of people is that they want to join something, but they never use it, right? It's like if you get a free gym membership. If you get a free gym membership, you're not going to use it. You're just going to have it. But if your gym membership's $200 a month, you're going to go to that gym because it's costing you something. So just keep that in mind, and that's why we have that specific setup for that. But Yeah, Jamar, if you want to sign up for it, you're gonna have to sign up for the regular subscription like everyone else. We're not gonna make any adjustments because I don't really want to be teaching people anyways uh, that are brand new because it just takes a lot of time out of my day. But anyways, going back to US 30 over here, there's still no entries. So if you guys have any other questions, probably the best time to get to me. Let me just go through all the indices here again, see if there's anything here. Yeah, there's nothing really worth taking here. Let me go to the Forex pairs. So yeah, nothing for the indices. I'll go to the Forex pairs real quick. See if there's anything for us to take here. No entry here. It looks like the market overall is kind of just going sideways for the most part. Odd JPY, odd NCD, odd USD, nothing there either. Yeah. Market's pretty slow today. Euro odd, everything's just consolidating. Look at Euro odd just going sideways. So for Euro odd right here, if this ends up breaking below the structure, we'll take a sell. I've been watching this since yesterday. So I'm looking for this to close below here. Hop in for a sell right there. Funky said CAD JPY on the 15-minute. So let me pull this up over here real quick. Testing. Yeah, definitely. No problem, Jamar. All right, cool. So Funky said CAD JPY on the 15-minute. So Funky, here's CAD JPY on the 15-minute. Let's see. So I don't see anything right now, Funky, but I don't know if you were looking down here. So if you were looking down here, it looks like there was possibly, so these zones over here overlap. So looking at this right here, Funky, if you did take this trade below here, so what I'm doing right here, guys, is I'm just going to the most recent entry, right? So there's no scalp entries over here. The most recent scalp entry would have been right here off this green candle. So let me just delete this. Oops. The most recent scalp entry would be right here. Either these two signals, or either of these two candles right here. So I'm just looking at this because I'm going backwards. This is the first requirement here because we have the rejection off the pivot in the structure. With that said, you would enter a long position right there, and that would have hit full TP. But just looking at this right now, Funky, on the, oh, sorry, this is the 30-minute, my bad. Let me go on the 15. Okay, there you go. So Funky's right. Funky's on point with this right here. So Funky identified this as a buy scalp. Here, let's see. So yeah, if you look at this right here, it looks like there were a couple entries that were available here actually, Funky. So generally what I do is I'll look back to see if there's one that's technically still running. So if there's one that's still running, I would base my entry off the first one right here, right? Until that trade has completely finished. So looking at this right here, let's see. Yeah, you know, like I was going over with you earlier, Funky, I think that the anything below the 30-minute is kind of risky unless your spread is really tight. Because technically the move here, you know, just going back to what CT mentioned earlier, he mentioned that it should be about 50% from the previous swing. Previous swing is about 17 pips. So half of that would be under 10 pips, right? So it'd be around like 9 pips. So the problem with that is that the spread is 3.5. So if you look at the spread over here, the spread is 3.5. So in order for you to get in and out of this trade, you got to pay a spread of about 7 pips. If you're going for 9 pips, you're only going to make 2 pips off this trade. It's not worth the risk, right? Unless you go a little farther off. You go a little farther off to like 15 pips. That looks a little better. But then again, it's a little risky. So I'm not sure which broker you're using, Funky, but depending on your spread, if your spread's like around one to 2 pips, that's fine. But if it goes above 1 or 2 pips, that's where it becomes risky. If that's the case, then you might as well go on the higher time frame to look for specific trades because your stop loss is just going to be too tight. And so for example here, see how your stop loss is 15 pips? If your spread is about 4 pips, your stop loss is really going to be over here. It's going to be too close, right? So that's why I don't necessarily like to trade on the shorter time frames with Forex because the spread's just too wide. But if you were to take this trade here, I mean, technically this is active right now. Or if you took this one over here, I mean, it's around the same entry, right? Because if you took this green one right here, the entry would be right here. And if you took this red one right here, it'd be around the same area. But it does look like a good buy. The trade looks good, but the main problem here, Funky, would just be your spread, right? Because you don't want to you don't want to put your stop loss too tight because you might get kicked out of this trade a little too early. But it does look good overall. It was a good identification for the trade here, but it's just stop loss TP just going to be a little too tight there. But yeah, I mean, it is a good entry if you're in that one right now. All right, cool. Vinicius said 71% of people are short on US 30. So with that said, it's probably going to test that all-time high. Nice. Okay, gotcha, Funky. Yeah, so you're using Higo's way. Yeah, so depending on what broker you're using, if your spread is tight, then you should be perfectly fine to take these trades. If your spread's wide, then that's where it becomes risky. But yeah, like Funky mentioned, she's only paying 10 cents, so it's not a big deal. You can just factor in that spread. So instead of going for 15 pips, you can just subtract that by the spread, which would be 4 pips. So instead of going for 15 pips, you would only go for about 11 pips, right? So that's perfectly fine because when it hits TP, it hits TP. The main goal here is to hit TP. You just want to stack these TPs, even if it's smaller profits. Those smaller profits will add up, and you can compound your account over time. So going back to US 30 over here, let's check the sentiment again. Wow, so there's a lot of people that are short US 30 right now. So I think US 30 is going to keep pushing up. And this is what I'm going to do here. So like basically right here for this part, so you guys can see how there's a lot of people that are short right here. What I think is going to happen here is price is going to drop slightly to lure in some sellers, to lure in more sellers. So I think the institutions and market makers will drop price a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's going to shoot right back up. So I personally wouldn't enter any shorts right now for US 30, guys. There's too many short sellers right now. 72% people are short. With that said, I think price is going to keep going up. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see how it plays out. Obviously, right now, there's just no entries that are available. But when they do become available, I'll be ready to take those trades. It's only 8:32, so we still have about 2 hours left in the market before we call a day for New York session. But, the market is just too slow today, which is, it's fine. I mean, this is just how the market moves on open here. All right, let me see if there's anything else here for me to look at real quick. All right, cool. But yeah, guys, there's not really much. Yeah, I think this is what's going to happen. So what's going to happen here for US 30 is this will come down slightly, and then there's going to be more short sellers. So looking at the sentiment right here, it's at 72%. I think this is going to increase to maybe 80%. It's going to go pretty high because everyone's looking at the same thing, right? Everyone's looking at this all-time high, and everyone's going to get freaking demolished. So here, this is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to draw this, and I'm going to change the color so that you guys can see where the all-time high is. So we got that right there. I'm going to change that to blue. All right, so I got this marked up right here. That's the all-time high. So I'm going to go ahead and put this right here. So this is the all-time high right here, right? What I see happening here, guys, is this is going to come down slightly. They're going to lure in more sellers because the sentiment is so high. Like it's 72% people short. So what they're going to do is they're going to drop it slightly. And then you're going to see this number increase. It's going to go from 72 to maybe 73, 74, 75. And then once it reaches that point, it's going to spike all the way back up to the all-time high. This is pretty much what I see happening for US 30. So I wouldn't enter a sell right now, guys. I know a lot of you guys are tempted to enter the sell because you see it getting closer to this all-time high. But I don't think it's ready to drop just yet. I think this is probably what's going to happen here, or what's going to happen is they're just going to go sideways. So it'll probably drop a little bit. It'll go sideways for a bit, maybe drop even more like this. And then when you least expect it, skyrocket all the way up. Or maybe not even that far. So honestly, this is actually like overextending a little far because the US session ends like right here anyways. So this will probably go sideways for a bit. This is more realistic. I don't want to go too far out. So this is a little more realistic because the market's going to close right here anyways. I'll just mark this up right here. So the US session will run up until 15. There you go. So this is more realistic right here. And that's basically what I see happening. So we'll keep an eye on it, and then we'll see how this ends up playing out over here. Yes, let's see. Market set as a zone on the 1 minute on US 30. So let's check that real quick. Yeah, you know, Marcus is kind of right. Like we should probably scalp this on the short time frames if that becomes the case. So let me go to US 30 again real quick, or let me just go over here, scalping within the scalp. So I'll go here on the 1 minute. I don't recommend anyone trade on the 1 minute unless you know what you're doing, but I'm just gonna look at what Marcus is looking at here. So there is a zone right here. So if you guys were scalping on the 1 minute, there's actually some entries that were available over here. Damn, yeah. So there was an entry that was a couple minutes ago right here that that Marcus identified actually. So there was actually a couple entries right here. If you're using the strategy on the 1 minute, I don't recommend using it on the 1 minute because there's a lot of noise here. But Marcus did identify a couple nice entries right here. So this red candle right here, reject off the pivot and structure right there. And then again with this green candle right here as well. So if you took any of these right here, looks like this would have been a full TP right there. Yeah, that's a big move up. So that's about 180 pips right there if you're going for that smaller scalp. And then if we go back to this green one, you can see right there that when this candle actually closed, it didn't go through the body. So this is pretty nice right here off that. Oh, my bad. This is a 30-minute. My bad, guys. I was wondering why that was such a big move. But yeah, looking at this here. So let me go back on US 30. And then let me turn on this, turn off the Ichimoku. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying right here, Marcus. So you did see this little sell right here. So yeah, this actually plays out like I was mentioning. So here I am on the 1 minute. So I'll zoom out from this point and I'll show you guys. There was actually a lot of entries here on the 1 minute. So if you guys are scalping on the 1 minute, I know some of you guys do. I don't recommend new traders do this, but if you guys know what you're doing, you know, it's perfectly fine. So just looking here on the 1 minute, Marcus was actually on point with these, with his identification of these trades here. So like you can see this green candle right here. There's actually a lot of entries here that we could have taken off this. So like right here, this green candle rejected off the pivot and structure. So if you took that trade right there, looks like you would have hit full TP right there for 800 pips. Again, right here, there's another scalp off this red candle, rejection off the yellow pivot and the structure down here. If you took that trade, another full TP right there for 800 pips. Another one right here, there's actually a couple entries over here. This green and red candle right here, if you took any of those trades right there, looks like those would have been full TP as well. Full TP. So there's a lot of full TPs here that you guys could have hit if you guys were scalping this on the 1 minute. I personally don't trade like this on the 1 minute because I think it's too risky. But if you guys, if you guys like to take big risks, I mean, this could have been a huge payout for you guys because there's a lot of wins here that you guys could have taken. There's like about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 back-to-back wins right here. So those look good right there. It looks like it's going to come down slightly right here. But like I mentioned, I wouldn't risk taking any sells right here. So there is actually a couple entries. So right here for a sell, I think this might have hit TP as well, or it's on its way down. So it's on its way down a full TP right there. If you guys took this scalp on the 1 minute, but it's not something I would mess with. I mean, Marcus, you got some like thick skin if you're trading this on the 1 minute. Mark said it lines up when you go on the bigger time frame. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So Marcus, what he did was he marked up his zones here on the 1 minute, and then he went on the higher time frame. So basically what he did was he marked up his zones here. And this is something that I don't recommend you guys do, because like I mentioned, there's a lot of noise here on the shorter time frame. So if you were to do that, like Marcus mentioned, I'm just going to delete all of this stuff off the chart. I marked up the zones here, then I go back on the 10-minute. And yeah, I mean, these same entries over here line up, like these buys down here. This green candle right here would have lined up with this, but these zones are the same as they would be on the 10-minute. It's not necessarily any different, but I don't see any entries here on the 10-minute, but just looking on the 1-minute here, if you were just trading directly on the 1-minute, Marcus, it looks like you would have hit some nice TPs off here, because there was like 4 wins over here, and then there was another one right over here as well off, you know, something like that. So if you took that trade right there, it looks like you would have hit your full TP right there, right? You know, just going back to what I was mentioning, there's like, you can apply this strategy on any time frame and for any asset. You don't have to apply it on just US 30 like me, and you don't have to trade it on the 10-minute. Like Marcus here identified this on the 1-minute. If you identify this yourself on the 1-minute, you're then perfectly fine. And the same with like Mr. Inglet over here. You know, he took these trades over here on the 10-minute for gold, and I don't even trade gold. So like, if you just apply it yourself, you guys can have a lot of different opportunities to take if you, you know, you end up applying this on your own. But I personally wouldn't take this. See, look at this big spike up right here. This is why I wouldn't take the sell off this, because this just isn't. You're gonna see a lot of manipulation like this right here. See this candle. This is probably gonna play out like I was mentioning over here. Like, see how it's dropping? It's basically doing what I was mentioning earlier. It's gonna drop a little bit and then it's gonna shoot back up. So let's see. Marcus said check out the 5-minute. Yeah, so for the 5-minute right here, looks like there were a couple entries right here as well. So these 2 buys right here, if you took any of these, like either of these trades right here, it looks like you might have hit some TP. Let's see. Yeah. So if you took that trade right there, Marcus, you would have hit your full TP off that. So this is what I was mentioning, right? You can apply this on any time frame. You can apply it on the 1-minute, 3-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute. It's really up to you guys how you guys want to apply it. But like, yeah, Marcus over here mentioned he does 1-minute and 5-minute, 10 minutes. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So Marcus, he uses different time frames, which you guys can do. Like, you guys can play around with it and do things differently. And what Marcus does is he uses the 1-minute, 5-minute, and 10-minute, which is pretty smart in some cases. You know, in some cases, like right here, if you were to apply what Marcus just did, he would have hit full TP off this, off that that red candle, and he also would hit full TP off this green candle as well, with like little to no drawdown, I believe, right? Yeah. So if you're trading like Marcus over here, where he draws his zones on the 1-minute and then goes up to the 5-minute, these both would hit TP. However, this is why I wouldn't do it, because yeah, obviously you'd hit these 2 wins right here, but it becomes risky because if you go on anything below the 10-minute, it starts to get a little choppy. So if you took this trade right here, I think this might have been a loss, right? Yeah, so this might have been a loss. And then what could have happened from this point is, oh no, actually it's still active. It's technically still active right now, but there's 1 entry right there for a sell. And then there's going to be, if this closes right here, this green candle, if this closes below the structure right here and it rejects off the pivot and structure, this should switch to a sell, right? So that's why I don't like trading on these lower time frames, because there's a lot of noise here. You'll see a lot of trades, but you'll see a lot of reversals and fake outs. So like right here, if this ends up closing like this, Marcus, then this would qualify as a sell. Right here. And if I mark up the zones on the 5-minute, yeah, so there's no zones here on the 5-minute, but Marcus marked up these zones right here on the 1-minute. So that's one way of doing it. And I only recommend doing this if you guys know what you're doing, right? So Marcus probably knows what he's doing. That's why he does this. But there's a lot of people that try to just mimic what other people are doing, and they don't really understand what they're doing, and they end up getting in some bad trades. So make sure that you guys understand what you're doing before you guys enter these trades. If you guys know what you're doing, like what Marcus is doing, then it's fine. You know, you guys can do that. But if you guys don't know what you're doing, don't just guess. Like, make sure that you figure out that you're doing things properly before you you enter these trades like that. But yeah, nice identification on this, Marcus. It was pretty on point with what you saw here. But we'll see how this closes. This has about a minute left on this candle. If this closes, this might be a sell entry or a sell scalp right there for a little move. And this is why we scalp for 500 pips, right? Because we just try to get in and out of the trades, guys. We don't want to hold these for any of those home run hits. Like we're not trying to shoot for like 1,000 pips here. We're only shooting for like 500 pips. We pretty much lock in our profit. We hop out and then we wait for the next one. You know, this becomes it's a volume game, right? It depends on how many trades you take and how many winners you hit that just keep adding up throughout the day. So this trade right here looks like it's gonna set up for a sell. I'm not gonna take this trade, guys, but if you guys do want to take this trade, it's available to you guys. You know, I'm a conservative trader. I don't like taking these risky trades here. But if this does close like how it is right now, this would classify as a valid sell on the on this time frame right here. So I'm not sure if you're in this trade, Marcus, but looks like this is probably going to play out. There you go. So I'm not taking this trade. If you guys want to take it, you guys can. It's just too risky for me. So there's the parameters right there. I'm not going to take this trade. This is something that is a speculative trade on my end. So I don't really see this as a safe trade. But if you do want to take a risky trade, this would be a risky trade for you. You know, if you guys are familiar with how I trade, I'm really careful with my trades, and I'm not necessarily going to hop into stuff that I'm not 100% sure about. So if you guys want to take it, feel free. But like I mentioned, I'm not going to take that trade. I'll watch it for you guys, but I'm not going to take it myself. Let's see, I'm checking out my messages real quick. All right, CT sent me a message on Telegram. Let me go back to Telegram real quick. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So Marcus said I was only looking for the buys for real because how many short on US 30? Yeah, same here, Marcus. That's why I wouldn't take this sell here because I think it's just too risky, right? Because there's so many sellers on US 30 right now. But if you're taking a small scalp, then you can possibly catch like a little move here. But personally, I'm not going to take this trade. It's just too risky on my end. But if you wanted to take a risky trade, that would be you know, a risky trade for you to take. So I don't know if you guys took it. I'm not taking it. But if you guys wanted to, I mean, that would be an entry there that was possibly available. So let's see. Yeah, Kaparas, let's see. Kaparas looked at the sentiment. Damn, 74% of people are short. This is definitely a trap, guys. I would not enter any shorts right now for US 30. This is going to be a huge trap. I think this is going to shoot up higher and higher. So I wouldn't mess with this. See how I marked this up right here? It's doing exactly what I mentioned, right? I mentioned, like I drew this like just a few minutes ago. You guys saw that I drew this here and it lined up perfectly with what I drew with this arrow right here. It lined up, dropped a little bit, probably going to consolidate, drop a little more because they're trying to lure in these sellers right here. You can see like you guys got to be smart about it. If you guys are analyzing the market, you guys got to see where all the retail traders are and you guys want to not trade where they're trading. So everyone here short, what's probably going to happen is they'll spike price up. Because so everyone's stop losses are going to be in this area right here, right? There's going to be a ton of liquidity around this area right here because everyone has their stop losses right here. So if there's 74% of people in the market that are short, everyone has their stop loss around this area. So once price reaches this area right here, it's probably going to skyrocket. So it's probably not going to skyrocket just yet, but when price reaches, so this is the vicinity right here. When price reaches this point right here, we're probably going to see this skyrocket like heavy because there's so many people that have their stop losses in this area. So if you entered a short position here, like for example, if you enter your short position right here, where do you think their stop losses are going to be? So you enter a short right here, their stop losses are going to be around this area right here, right? Around this area, this area, this area, like all around this area over here. So when price reaches this point, all these stop losses are going to get triggered and price is just going to skyrocket up because of the liquidity. So that's why I'm not messing with this right now because I don't want to get caught in these traps. Like obviously this is a sell trap right here. There's so many people short. They're not going to, like, here's the thing. If they drop price, the market makers and institutions aren't going to make money because people are going to be winning. You know, majority of retail traders fail at trading. So you don't want to trade where all these people are at. You want to do the opposite of them. So that's why I'm waiting for price to just break above here. Once that happens, I'm going to enter a buy and I'm going to lock in profits that way. So just keep that in mind, guys, and be careful with your trades. So let me go back to Telegram. I think CT sent me something here. So here's CT's markup for the NASDAQ. Let's see. So CT, are you identifying this as a buy or as a sell? Let me check the sentiment for NASDAQ. So let's see, NASDAQ 100 sentiment. All right, so NASDAQ sentiment over here. Let's see. Yeah, so it's a complete opposite. So you guys can see right here for the NASDAQ, 69% of people are long for NASDAQ. So this is what I mean, guys, right? If so many people are long, you want to sell. So like, look at the price. It's going down for the NASDAQ, right? Because people are long. The market does the opposite of what everyone else is doing. So just when you want to make sure you're not trading where everyone else is trading. So if I go over here to the NASDAQ, all right, we got a signal for US 30. Let me go back to US 30 real quick. Oh, it's just a pending sell. So even if this closes right here, I'm not going to call a sell. I'm hoping that this closes as an invalid sell, because if that's the case, then I'm going to take a buy when the valid buy comes. But yeah, looking at the NASDAQ over here, what CT was looking at. So it seems like CT was looking for a sell. US 100 right here. So yeah, looking at the NASDAQ right here, let me see if there's a scalp. Yeah, so I missed that scalp right there. I'm not sure if anyone caught this trade, but I wasn't following the NASDAQ, but there was a great sell that was available right over here. So I don't normally trade the NASDAQ, but this would have been a really nice sell right here. Oops. All right, so looking at this right here, this looks like it would have been a really nice sell right there, right? So with that said, I think that's what CT sent over to me right here. Yeah, so he had that marked up right there, that big zone above there. Or he's on the 30-minute actually. So let me go on the 30-minute. But if you were here on the 10-minute, if you caught this green candle right here, and then you took a short position, it looks like it would have hit full TP with like literally no drawdown. So no drawdown right there, rejection off the pivot and structure, sell entry right there, full TP. So that looks pretty nice for that one right there. But anyway, CT was looking at the 30-minute. So let me go on the 30-minute right now for the NASDAQ. So looking at this point over here, zoom out from here. Oh, CT took a buy, or he's looking for a buy. Let me see this real quick. Yeah, I don't know if I would take the buy for NASDAQ CT, because the sentiment is bullish right now. So guys, I know I haven't made an official video for the new scalp strategy. The reason for that is because I'm still trying to figure things out, right? I'm still trying to figure out if there's something else that I should add. So like looking at my analysis here, I think I might take sentiment into account, because it looks like if we take sentiment into account, that can make a huge difference with our entries here. So yeah, CT did mention this for a buy. So if you took this, I mean, depending on which one you guys are looking at, if you took any of these buys over here, it looks like this would have been a win, but the other ones would have been a loss. So this red candle right here, rejection off the pivot and structure, full TP right there. If you took this next green candle right here, it looks like this might have been a loss. Yeah, see, it would have been a loss. Market here is it's just too messy. So I wouldn't want to trade when the market's kind of bouncing like this. I personally don't even trade this on the higher time frame either, because you can see from here, there's probably, yeah, I don't know if I would take this. Gotcha. Yeah. So CT said nothing yet. Just waiting. No trades today. So guys, like, you guys got to remember that there's some days where you guys should probably not trade and just wait. Like how me and CT are. Like me and CT and David, well, David not exactly, but me and CT, we've been trading for a long time, so we kind of understand how the market moves. And like, I haven't taken any trades on my own account, right? I'm just chilling, because there's just really not much for us to take here, because the market's so choppy right now. So I would personally just sit tight. I wouldn't just enter trades right now, because you guys can see when sentiment is crazy like this, when it's super high, it creates like a big imbalance in the market, because people are trading in one direction. Oh, you can see right here. So you can see the sentiment for US 30. This right here went from 74 to 73. The reason for that is because people are probably getting stopped out, right? So if you look at US 30, whenever this number changes, people are either entering a trade or exiting a trade. When people exit a trade, they're either exiting manually because they're getting scared, or they're exiting because they're getting stopped out. So when you guys see this number change, that's usually the reason for that. So if we start to see this decrease, so if it goes from 73% to below 70%, maybe like around the 65, that's because people are getting stopped out or they're getting scared and pulling out of their trade. So you guys don't want to trade when stuff like that's going on, because that's just going to cause a lot of manipulation in the market, right? So like, for example, here, this is doing exactly what we mentioned. It's coming down, it's testing the structure. Now it's coming back up. This might not even come down this far. This might shoot up directly from here. Like, different scenarios can play out here for US 30, but I think overall, if this number remains high, then it's probably just going to keep pushing up higher and higher. So you can see right here, it's still pushing up as we speak. So I'm not taking any trades right now, but I am watching for any possible entries. So what I recommend is you guys just sit tight, sit on your hands, guys. Don't enter these trades yet because you guys think it's going to go one way, because it can easily go the opposite way when you least expect it. But we'll keep monitoring it. If you guys have any other questions, I can take a look at stuff for you guys. But I mean, until then, there's just not going to be much for us to really look at this point. Let's see. Funky mentioned Dawn Candle wasn't really an entry. It's touching the body. Which one are you referring to, Funky? Sorry. I'm not sure if because we looked at like 3 different pairs right now, Funky. We looked at US 30. We looked at NASDAQ, and we looked at another one, I think, before that as well. So I'm not sure which one you are referring to, Funky. Marcus said US 30 looks like it's going to the last low to go back up, probably, which is a zone. Yeah, no, I could see that too. The low, it's right here, right? So it came up, tested a low right here. So there's no zone here, but I'm just identifying this right here. There might be a zone right here. Let me go on the shorter time frame. So we go on the 5 minute. I'm just going to see if there's another zone. Nothing there. Go on the 1 minute. So there are some zones right here. I'll just mark this up and change the color so we don't get confused here. So this is a 1 minute zone right here. So yeah, if you guys see this right here, this is actually a 1 minute zone right here. Fuck. We missed the trade right here, because this would have been, I pulled up my phone. I was going to try to take the trade real quick, but this is let me just fix this right here. So this is a 1 minute zone right here. I wish I would have seen this earlier, but this, yeah, it looks like this would hit TP off that. So I don't recommend doing this for you guys or I don't recommend any guys do this, because the problem with drawing these zones on the short time frame, like I mentioned with Marcus, this is going to make you force trades, right? Because if you see these like little entries here, you're going to want to force these trades when they're not really there, because we're looking at the 10 minute, there's no zone there, but this is a 1 minute zone. And if you guys saw this right here, like, what Marcus saw earlier, because he goes on the shorter time frame to draw zones when they're not available. If you were to see that right there, I mean, obviously this would have been, an entry right there on its way to full TP. So I don't know if you took that, Marcus, but yeah, since you were looking for some buys right here. Yeah, no, like what Marcus just mentioned, he said, "Hello, I'm laying my hand, Shawn, I'm on hold." That was a buy I was telling you about. Yeah, so Marcus, like, nice identification on this, bro. This is what I mean about, if you know what you're doing, you guys can do this. You guys can go on the 10 minute. What Marcus did is he went on the 1 minute, he identified that zone right there, and that's perfect, right? Because Marcus was 100% on point with identifying that zone. Because if you took that trade right there, there's like literally little to no drawdown, and then straight to TP right here. But like I mentioned, it's not something that I would personally do, because I like to take trades that I'm 100% about. For this, I'd be on the fence. I'd be 50-50. Is it a risky trade? Is it a safe trade? Me personally, I think it's a risky trade, because sentiment is crazy right now. Looking at sentiment, There's so many people that are short. So what happens here is if you enter this buy, you can get caught in these traps, because what they're doing right now, like what I see in the market, as I see institutions trapping people, right? There's so many people that are short right now. So what they're going to do is they're going to give people some hope. So just put this into your analysis. Like, think of it this way: if people aren't going to keep entering shorts until price drops, right? So they need to drop price slightly so that people enter these shorts. So they're trapping in these sellers. But when you least expect it, what's going to happen is they're going to drop price down slightly, have the short sellers enter the market, and when you least expect it, they're going to spike it up to stop everybody out, right? Because that's basically what happened over here. So if you follow price from back here from this morning, so if you were to see, or I'll go to a clean chart and I'll show you guys what I mean by that, because it's kind of hard for you guys to really illustrate if I have these zones marked up here, because you guys can already see what we're looking at here, right? And this is why we wouldn't enter the sell here, because look at price coming back down. They're trapping more sellers into this market. So if I go over here to the US 30 on the 30-minute, and I'm going to try to show you guys, to give you guys some understanding as to, what's going on here. So let me just mark up the charts from when the market opened. So the market opened over here at 6:30, right? So market opened here at 6:30. And you guys can see from these candles right here, see how this was a bearish candle? If you guys remember the sentiment, because if we've been following the sentiment from earlier this morning, and sentiment has always been high. So the thing is, you can see that there's been short sellers all throughout the day. So what they were doing here is that they were trapping sellers. So what happens is people enter short positions right here. They enter a short position. Where's their stop loss going to be? At the previous swing, right? Which would be right here. And then what happens from this point is people think price is going to go down. But what they don't realize that this was a trap. This was a sell trap here, trying to lure in more sellers. So as people entered sells, look at what happened with price here. It dropped a little bit and then it shot up, right? So if you go there, you can see the small movement. So the first couple minutes of the candle dropped and then it spiked all the way up from there, because they're trapping these sellers in the market, right? So see that? If I go back again shortly, it happens really quick. It's like a split second. Price drops down for a few minutes and then it shoots all the way up to stop people out, right? And then when people have their stop losses in this area, this is an area of liquidity. So this is where everyone has their stop losses, right? If everyone has their stop losses in that area, what happens is when price passes that area, it catches a bunch of liquidity and it pushes price all the way up, right? And you can see here, price just shoots up heavy, right? You can see each candle is slightly red because they're trapping in more sellers. So like right here, look at this following candle. It's going to start off as red and then it's going to shoot all the way up. See, red shoots up. Red shoots up because they're trapping in these sellers in the market. And then it catches all this liquidity and just keeps pushing up higher and higher and higher. So that's why we don't play around in markets like this, because this is a lot of area for manipulation for price to go ahead and trap more sellers to enter this market, because obviously everyone's looking for the same thing. They see this all-time high here. Obviously this is the all-time high right here. Everyone's thinking that price is going to drop, but if there's so many sellers in the market, it's going to do the complete opposite. So I would hold tight right now, guys. I'm not going to enter any trades. If you guys have any questions, it's better for me to just answer questions for you guys right now. And when I think the market's safe to enter, then I'll call some trades. But I think for right now, there just really isn't much for us to do, because we're just going to get caught in between these areas right here.
Man, what a day.
Right?
I can't believe we're just sitting here watching this.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, I was ready to kick off this week and just start taking some scalps, but there just isn't any scalps right now.
It's all good, man. It's clear manipulation. And if you've won on the buy side, great. You know what I mean? If you identified a buy and you won, awesome. But higher time frame overall, the Dow's been bearish, right? Higher time frame.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
It hasn't invalidated that yet. So the way I look at things is I'm waiting for a higher time frame.
That's what I'm doing too. I'm just waiting.
Yeah, I'm waiting higher time frame, and then your entries are on a lower time frame, right? That's how you do it.
Yep.
And I'm just sitting here, man, chilling. My daughter said some funny ass shit. She's sitting on the couch with her fries, and she said, Man, Taco Bell makes good food.
They do, man. They do.
Oh
She's
my
not wrong
God.
for that.
I mean, I'm just watching this. I mean, I'm just hanging out, waiting like a sniper, just waiting to take out my prey.
Exactly. That's what I'm doing too, bro. I'm not trying to enforce anything. Like a lot of people are trying to force trades, but I'm just chilling because the last thing you want to do is enter a trade and then it ends up going the opposite
Right.
because of this. I mean, obviously you can see here it's a clear trap, bro. Like right here, they're just trying to trap
Oh.
people.
Well,
Like
I
just
mean, if you want to look at it, right, just look at the hour.
yeah, I know that the hour is obviously gonna be better because I marked it up on the hour too. Let me see.
Right. Let's. I
US
mean,
trade.
just to show everybody, right? So look at the open, right? The open we gapped,
Okay.
right? Let's just look at the day and talk about it. We opened with a gap, right? London, Asian to London was a clear downtrend, right? So
Yeah.
what is New York most likely going to be?
Bullish, opposite.
We're going to be opposite, right? But now that London closed around this time from this is one of my things from 10 to 12 Eastern, around that time, we're going to make the high of the day if we're bullish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so around that time, I'm looking for the high of the day to be made. And that's going to complete the day's candle, right? Because we had an open, we had a push to the downside, a push to the upside, and now we're going to peel off to make the day's candle.
Exactly. Yeah, no,
So
I see that too.
So I mean, if you just look at it as in time periods, so London was down, New York was up. We should technically peel off the high of the day to complete today's candle. If it goes higher, then hey man, it's nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
But that's how I see it.
Yeah, that's how I see it too. Like, I mean, you can see right here, just from US open to US close, you can see that it's been bullish. It's probably going to push
Right.
the all-time high. And then at that point, it's probably going to dump. Or I mean, it's not going to dump right away, but that's what I see happening. It's not going to push it forever, obviously.
I mean, but I think we're still bearish overall until we're not.
Exactly. I think so too. I think well, the thing with the sentiment is, dude, there's so many people that are short right now. They're not just going to drop price right now.
But with the sentiment, you have to keep in mind as well, in my opinion, that sellers and buyers are both cleared already just from today.
Yeah,
So
it's been bouncing.
while the number says 70% are short, they're all knocked out. I mean, look at the day. I mean, the low of the day, bro. What is this?
Low of the day is
31,326.
yeah, right down
Bro,
there.
we tapped 32,000.
So from this point right here, it's pushed up. Dude, it's pushed up 6,000 pips. The big
The
move.
sellers are out. This is what I see, how I analyze it. Like the sellers are out. Now all the buyers are triggered, right? Because where are they triggered at?
Yeah, right
Big
there.
figure,
The
big
liquidity.
figure.
Mm-hmm.
They're triggered at 32,000, right?
Yeah,
Because they think, oh man, we touched 32, we're gonna keep going up, right? Because that's a big figure, right?
yeah.
That's a
It's right.
number that a lot of people like to look at,
The whole numbers. It's already at
right? The whole numbers, the big figures, right? And we tapped it. So could we go up? Sure. Could we go down? Sure. Do we know for sure? No one does.
yeah.
But this is what we have to analyze it around these areas, right? We tapped the big figure. We're outside of an imbalance. We're messing around near that imbalance, right? It's kind of like we've gone down, we've gone up for the day. I mean, what's left to do, right? Now you sit and wait for a good entry.
Exactly. So I'm gonna wait for it to drop, bro. If it drops below the imbalance right here, then I'll take some sells. If it shoots above, I'm probably still not gonna take any buys, even though it reaches that all-time
I
high.
mean, to be honest, man, I'm waiting for a confirmation to sell.
Yeah. No,
That
same here.
that's where I'm at. Sure. I mean, yeah, we could have taken the buys, but I wasn't looking for buys, so nothing popped off to me, even though it made that huge run. I mean, goddamn, you
Yeah,
could have got
it's a big push.
650. You could have 650 points, man.
Exactly. And there was scalps here that were available. I mean, there's a lot of scalps here, like on open right here. there are some scalps that are available.
There's definitely scalps to the upside.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just, I had my higher time frame analysis set, and I'm waiting for indication to sell. I could be wrong, and no, I'm not right 100% of the time. Obviously, no one is, but that's what I'm waiting for, man. It's still messing around in that area that I identified.
Yeah, what I think is going to happen, bro, is I think this is going to consolidate a bit right here. I think what's going to happen eventually is there's going to be a zone that's going to get created above here. You know, once it keeps testing this area, there's probably going to be a zone that's created either around here or maybe above here. And I think once that happens, you know, once the pivot starts to push below, then I think it's going to provide for some scalp entries for some sells, and I'm going to be ready for those. Yeah. So like right here, this is probably going to go sideways. It's going to start dropping, like drooping slightly. And then once that happens, you know, the pivots are going to start moving this way as well. And then when that confirms, then I'm going to be ready for some, you know, the pivots are going to start moving this way. And then we can start taking some positions for the short side.
What's the exact high?
Where's the high at?
The exact high is 32,084. Is that right?
Yeah, 8485. I think it's 84 actually. You're right.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna pull that over here. Yeah, 84.
Yeah, I like to keep that marked up just to know for sure.
Yep, I'm gonna leave that on my chart just to see where it's going. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking for some scalps in either way. There just isn't anything ready right now, but when it does happen, I'm gonna be ready for those. Let's see.
What's crazy is the dollar index is creeping up.
It's still pushing,
and the EU's still pushing down.
Yeah. We'll
so
see.
The indices are messing around a little bit.
Yeah, I think all the indices are kind of bouncing around right now.
Because CT said Nasdaq was a sell.
Yeah, you know it's weird. Nasdaq was moving complete opposite. Sentiment is opposite too. So my sentiment for Nasdaq is actually bullish. So what CT saw here, let me go over that to Nasdaq real quick. Nasdaq might be the thing to scalp right now, honestly, if there's nothing else. But there's no zones here either. So like the most recent entry right here would have been for a sell right there. But other than that, there hasn't been anything that's played out for the Nasdaq right now.
I treat Nasdaq like gold. I don't even touch it.
Yeah, me neither. I don't mess with Nasdaq. I feel like Nasdaq is I wouldn't say harder to trade, but I see a lot more noise on the Nasdaq versus like US 30 or even the S&P.
Yeah, I mean, you like what you like, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm not going to mess with it, but I know CT likes to trade this, and he does pretty well with his analysis. So we'll see.
Gold's going down. I mean, the dollar up should provide a sell for US 30, right? I mean, theoretically.
Yeah, probably.
Because if you think about it, right, when US 30 pushes up, the dollar usually weakens because it's more expensive to buy, if you think of it that way.
Yeah, no, I've seen that before. And that's kind of how I look at it as well.
Right.
I compare it to the dollar index.
Right.
Let's see, CT sent me on the chart for NASDAQ. Nice. So yeah, CT has his marked up right here. So he's looking for a push up and then another sell scalp.
He's looking to sell, yeah.
Yeah, that looks pretty solid, CT. So CT, what he's looking for here, guys, if you guys saw what CT just sent me, he's looking for price to come and test the pivot above here and that structure. So when he catches that, he's going to enter a sell position somewhere around there, I guess. But we'll see. We'll see. And this market's just, it sucks because like I want to take trades, but I also don't want to force anything. So we just got to be really, really patient. So
yeah, I'm sitting here with
your daughter and
I can't say what I want to say. But I'm sitting here like a goddamn retard waiting for this
to play out. All right, let me check the chat real quick. Yeah, Marcus said kids are funny. Like you said, my son trying to learn how to trade, like he's like, that's a buy right there, Dad. Yeah, no, definitely, Marcus. That's good that you guys are starting them young. I know definitely when I have kids, my kids gonna be some killer traders, bro. Be on these charts with me every morning. Let me see. There's another question from Manifest. So Manifest said, "Hey guys, GJ, any look yet? Hi, Funky." So let me pull up GJ for Manifest. Manifest also asked, "You only trade US 30?" So I trade Forex and I trade US 30 mostly. But I normally just scalp US 30. I don't scalp anything else because I know how US 30 moves. I normally trade it. So if it's my trading style. So I'm going to go ahead and analyze GJ from scratch for Manifest real quick. So I'm going to delete everything off the chart. Here is an empty chart. I'm going to turn on the zones right here. I'm going to go ahead and draw my zones so that we can identify these points of rejection. So we got a zone right there. We have a zone right here. We have a zone below here. Another one right here. And these zones down here are relevant, right? Because price is so high above. This is just for reference. So just looking at this here, these are all of these lower zones, which don't really matter because price is way above. So that marked up right there. All right, so we have this upper zone right here. Next up, we want to get this, like a zone that's higher, just to identify, exactly where everything is going over here. So if you're on the weekly, there's no upper zone. On the monthly, the next zone is going to be like way up here. So I'm going to go back on the 4 hour. I have my zones drawn up right here. I'm going to turn this off. So you guys can see that price has been respecting these zones for a long time. I just drew these zones today, but you guys can see that these zones have been respected since December of last year. So in December, price broke into this uptrend. So since December, I'm even farther down. So price has been bullish since September of last year. So since September of last year, price has been pushing up to this point, right? So just looking at this here for GJ, now that we've identified these zones right here, price is just consolidating within this upper zone and this lower zone, right? Because price is bouncing from here to down here to back up here. The next thing I'm going to do is turn on the momentum indicator to identify, the bias. So we have a bullish bias here. From this point, we have a rejection from this point down here. We have a buy signal right here. And then from this point, price pushed up to this next zone right here, right? From this point over here, once price breaks and closes past this structure above this area right here, then we can take a buy. But until price breaks and closes past that structure, there's not going to be any entry available yet for that manifest. So like looking at this here, because until this confirms this bullish move and break and close past structure, price can always reject off this point right here. Kind of similar to what happened over here, right? So from this point right here, we have this rejection and then it comes back down. So again, right here, we can have another rejection and then it could come back down. So we wouldn't take the trade necessarily if that happens. And that's why we're waiting for it to break and close past the structure, because one of two things can happen. Price can push up above here, close above here, and then continue up higher, right? That's one scenario. Scenario number two is price can reject off this point, close below here, and then continue dropping, right? So there's two different scenarios that can play out here. But for GJ, there's no direct path, right? Until this happens where price closes above here, then we can take that buy. If price closes below here with the sell signal, then we can take that sell. But for right now, price is just consolidating within the zone. So until price breaks above here or below here with a sell signal, then we can take a sell. Price breaks above here, then we can take a buy. But until then, there's just nothing for us to take at this point. So that's pretty much it for GJ right there. Let me go back to US 30, see if there's any scalps that are available yet. So price is still pushing up to that all-time high. If I go back to the sentiment over here, like I was mentioning with David, he mentioned that all the sellers are pretty much out, and they are out. Like right now, there's a lot of people that are in the market for a sell, but once price reaches this area over here, they're all going to get kicked out, right? Because your stop losses are placed around this area. If you think about it, this is one way to do it. So what I do is I usually go on the higher time frame, like the 4-hour, and then you just see where the zones are over here, right? So if I go over here real quick, let me just draw my zones. So see how there's a zone here for the 4-hour? This is where everyone's stop losses are. There's going to be a lot of stop losses in this area right here. And if I go in the shorter time frame, like the 1-hour, there's no zones around there. So just looking at this area right here, you guys can see that there's going to be a huge area of stop losses below this area right here. So when price reaches this point, like everyone that's short in the market right now, there's 75% of people short right now. There's a lot of stop losses that are around this area. I think price is going to shoot up maybe to this area right here. And then once it shoots up, it's going to stop everyone out and it's going to catch liquidity, a huge liquidity move upwards right here. But until then, you know, we're not going to hop into this trade. We're going to be waiting for some sort of confirmation before we take that trade. So if you guys are here waiting for these trades, we're probably not going to have any trades today, guys. Honestly, it's already 9:30. Once it reaches 10, we're going to sit out the market and we're probably going to look for some entries during Asia session because we don't want to force any trades, right? The last thing you want to do is force a trade and then end up getting stopped out. So just keep that in mind, guys. We're just going to be holding tight and we're not going to be forcing anything until we figure out what happens from there. Let me see if there's anything else here before I continue on. So yeah, you can see prices pushing up right here, right? So it's doing the complete opposite of what everyone else is doing. Everyone is shorting right now, but as people enter short positions, it keeps pushing up higher and higher. So let me just check my chat real quick to see anything else here. Nice. So you guys can see Marcus. Marcus is here in the YouTube. So Marcus sent his profits for US 30. He took these little buy scalps right here. So he locked in some profits. You know, profit's profit. It might not be a huge profit, but it's still profit. And he's taking these little scalps here on the 1 minute, like we mentioned earlier, and he's just killing it, right? You know, just imagine if this was, you know, a bigger lot size. This would be a couple $100 instead of $32, which is cool. I mean, it's all about playing it safe and taking trades where you actually see them. So don't force any trades, guys. Just be patient and wait for actual trades to appear, because right now this is just a risky time to be entering trades for US 30. So let me check the chat again. Let's see. Joe's asking me to take a look at S&P on the 10 minute. So Joe, let me pull up S&P real quick. All right, so here's S&P on the 10 minute. Let me see if there's any other zones around this area. I'm gonna delete everything off this chart right here. Gosh, okay, so Joe's in a sell right now for S&P. Turn this off. So me personally, I wouldn't have entered this trade here, Joe, because like I mentioned, there's a lot of market manipulation going on. So let me just pull this up again real quick. Let's see. SP 500 sentiment. So let's see where the sentiment's sitting right now. So I probably wouldn't enter that trade because I'm still looking at it the same way that I'm looking at US 30. Man, this is so weird. I don't know, David, if you see this right here, but look at the sentiment for US 30 and S&P, bro. They're totally different. Like everyone is shorting the Dow, but the S&P is like totally different. It's like 52% people short. I mean, long. That's a big difference. Majority of people are short for the Dow, but then for S&P, people are actually long. So weird. Yeah, so I mean, overall for the indices market, Joe, I probably wouldn't enter this trade. I mean, technically this would have been a scalp. Let me see this real quick. So let me just delete this. I just want to make sure that these zones were proper at that time. So if I go back to like this right here, let me see if the zone is there. I just want to make sure the zone was actually there. Okay, so the zone was there. So these are all actual valid entries, Joe, if you took those. But like, you know, from our analysis this morning, if you guys have been following since, you know, the market opened, the market is just, it just hasn't been moving proper. So like right here, if you took this buy here, I think you might have lost this trade. Or I don't know, let's see. So if you took that trade right there, let me mark this up real quick. Actually, no. So if you took this trade right here, you would have hit full TP off that one. So that would have been a win for that buy right there. So I guess that would have been okay. Looks like if you took this sell right here, this might have been a win too, actually. So actually, you might have been fine, Joe, if you took these trades here. I just don't know like what your sweet spot would be because I don't trade S&P. So I'm not sure. Yeah, actually, you would have hit full TP right there too. So these two trades right here would have been wins. Let me check this one down here. I think this might have been a loss. So this would have been a win. This would have been a win. This right here would have been a loss, it looks like, yeah. So you would have had 2 wins and 1 loss right there. And then if you guys have followed, my rules for scalping, if we have a loss in one direction, so say for example here, if we take a loss for this sell, I'm not taking any more sells, I'm taking some buys. So I wouldn't have taken this one right here because that one already would have lost. So if you took this one right here, this would have been another loss right here. That's why we hold off. So like for example, if you have a win right here, that's fine. You could take another buy. Yeah, so this would have been a win here. This would have been a win for a sell. This would have been another win for a sell. If you took this loss right here off this green one, then I would have, or actually not this green one, this red one. Sorry guys, I'm getting confused with these trades here because there's so many that happen back to back. So this would have been a win. This would have been a win right here. This would have been a loss. So after this loss right here, I wouldn't have taken any more sells. So after this loss right here, because you would have lost off this green candle, I would have just held off, no more trades. And then I would take some buys. So I'd wait for it to swing above here, come back down, and then I would take some more buys on this area right here. So that's where I would have traded that. But yeah, like I was mentioning earlier, Joe, the market's it's wacky right now. It's not something that I would be messing with. I would just sit out the market, wait for it to smoothen out, and then take some trades. Because currently right now, it's like it seems like a lot of the market is reacting to the news over the weekend for the stimulus, and we're just not sure which direction is going to move from. So Razul said that US 30 just broke the all-time high. Let me go back to US 30. Not yet, results almost there. So the all-time high is right here at 32,084. So it's almost there. But like I was mentioning, guys, if you guys have been following my analysis throughout this entire morning, I mentioned that there's a bunch of liquidity in this area right here, right? And I said once price breaks this area, it's going to skyrocket. And that's exactly what's happening here. I mean, obviously, I could have taken that trade, but I didn't because I don't like taking trades that are too risky. I like taking trades that I know are for sure. And I just wasn't for sure about that. Like I knew that there was liquidity in that area, but I didn't necessarily think that it was going to guarantee that it's going to push up like that, which it did. I mean, it's fine to do an analysis. You don't have to take a trade every time you guys analyze something, especially if you don't feel comfortable with it. But yeah, it's reaching the all-time high right here. So it's almost there. It's a few pips away. Let's see. It's about 200 to 300 pips away from the all-time high, but it looks like it's going to break. So it looks good. I mean, it looks good for the most part. It's doing exactly what I thought was going to happen. I told you guys that when there's more sellers in the market right here, there's 75% of people selling. It's going to do the opposite. You don't want to trade where everyone's trading. Like if you trade like everyone else, you're probably going to get stopped out like everyone else as well. So it's reaching the all-time high right here. I think it's going to break it, honestly, within the next 30 minutes. We have 3 candles left right here. It's about to break the all-time high. I think once it breaks this, it's going to skyrocket because, well, not skyrocket, but it's going to push up slightly because there's a bunch of liquidity right here. Everyone has their stop losses around this area. So I think once it breaks it, it's just going to shoot up pretty nice. But we'll see.
Just came back to I just measured the daily range right now to the high. From the low to the all-time high is 760 points, dude.
That's 7,000 pips, bro. It's a lot.
In one day.
It's crazy. Wow.
That's 760 points. That's insane.
7,000 pips, dude. Yeah, from down here, let's see, from the London.
From just today's low. And I took it to the high, to the all-time high.
Jesus. 7,580 pips. That's crazy. And just think about all the people here that are short, right?
Right.
These people are going to get demolished. They're already getting demolished right now.
They're already
Yeah, everyone here is going to get
dead.
stopped out. So whoever's short US 30, you guys are getting screwed like 100% because it's going to hit their stop losses right here. And once it hits your stop losses, it's going to, liquidity is going to push up. See, the thing with us here, guys, like you guys here in the chat, we're not entering this, but even though we think price is going to go up, we're not going to enter this because it can easily drop. It doesn't need to pass this point. If it doesn't reach everyone's stop losses here, this can easily dump and you'd be screwed in the opposite direction. But that's why we're waiting for this confirmation. But geez, what a crazy move for today. Sunday till Monday. Look how big this move was, dude. 7,000 pips. That's crazy. It's going to push at least 8,000. Let's see. Yeah. I think it's going to push up at least to there. Oh, it's about to reach all-time high.
It's definitely gonna tap another big figure. So
yeah, it's gonna. So like what might happen here is it might not even reach the all-time high. It might like fuck around right here a bit. It might come down slightly.
I mean,
and then it might trap some more sellers. Honestly, I think this might trap more sellers right here, and then it's gonna shoot up.
It might as well tap 32,100 now, because if people are long outside of the all-time high, most likely it's going to be at a big figure.
Yeah, no, I can see that too.
Right, so it might as well tap 32,100.
Yeah, look at that. I don't think they're done trapping sellers yet, bro. Look at this,
well,
right?
They got to clear everyone out of the market.
Yeah, like literally. I think what they're doing here is they're still going to keep, because this is what everyone else is looking at. They're looking at this as like, oh, the all-time high, it's going to have to drop, right? Obviously. So what's going to happen here is they're going to enter, smart sellers are going to enter the market. They're going to give them a little gimme, like some little fake confidence that price is going to come down. And then when they least expect it, account blown, boom.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's best to wait. I mean,
yeah, I'm not going to risk it.
Would have been nice to.
It would have been nice to catch those buys. Honestly, it would have been some good buys. Like Marcus caught a couple.
Yeah, I heard
off that. He caught a little small scalp off it, which is good. He was scalping off for 1 minute, but I think that's way too dangerous, honestly.
I like it.
No, I like it too, but it's like right today, I wouldn't mess with it. Not like this. I would mess with it on a normal day, but not necessarily on the other ones. Let's see, Renko said Dow's points. Yeah, I mean, if you're trading the future, it's going to be points. If you're trading the indice, it's going to be pips, obviously. So the measurements are different depending on which asset you're trading.
Yeah, I like to say points just because the number is smaller.
Yeah, no, I say the same thing too. Because when you measure it, it's points, but if you translate it to pips, it's the same thing. You just add it.
Well, to me, because I see it, the points is the dollar value.
Yeah, no, right. Same.
So, yeah, $750.
Yeah.
This thing is slowly creeping. I'm telling you, it might as well tap 32.1 at this point. It really should.
I'm like curious to see how far it pushes up though.
Well, it probably 20 to 50 points above the all-time high.
Yeah, I can see that. And then I'm going to catch.
That's why I'm saying like the big figure at 32.1, it might as well tap it.
Because I'm tempted to put like a sell stop right here, bro, and just catch it as it comes back down.
I mean, here, just think about it this way, right? Your normal R is 1,500 pips, right?
Mm-hmm.
So put it, if this is not even riskier than a lot of the things you do. Put a sell stop at the all-time high with 150 pip stop loss. It's the same thing as you do all the other times.
Oh yeah, no, of course. No, but right. But what I mean is like it hasn't reached the all-time high. If it was up there, so if price does break above it, then yeah, I would put the sell stop.
I'm sorry, not a sell stop, sell limit.
Oh, I wouldn't do that, dude. Sell limit from here because this could probably push up even higher.
It's not going to push up.
We'll see. Sentiment's still really high, bro.
32,250. I don't see it.
75, man. People are still adding those sells, bro. I get because so this is the thing. The reason why I'm analyzing it that way is because if people are entering sells like right here, oh, there you go, all-time high, it's broke it. So if people are entering sells right here, you got to think about where people are where they're placing their stop losses, right? So for example, right here, I see stop losses. Let me see this real quick. I'm just gonna mark up the chart here so I can identify where these stop losses are gonna get placed at. So I think at every 500 pip range, this is probably where the stop losses are gonna get placed. So I think there's stop losses right here. I think there's gonna be more right here. So I think this is where the liquidity is going to sit, bro. Because this is where everyone's stop losses are going to be. They're going to be around the same area. Everyone likes using whole numbers. So there we go. So if price reaches this area right here, I think it's going to push up higher. If it reaches this point, I think it's going to push up higher. And then if it reaches this point, it's going to push up higher and higher. So we'll see. And I'm just going to leave it marked up right there, and we're going to follow it. And we'll see how this plays out.
We're about to tap 100.
I know we're about to get that, dude.
I got 50 points above the all-time high at 32,134.
What was it?
So so I want to see what happens within that range, that 50-point range from the all-time high.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah. So this is the 50-point range right here from the all-time high.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what I'm looking at. That's
what
I have just drawn up just to see what happens in that area.
Yeah, no, same here. I think if this is where like a lot of stuff, because like if people like you mentioned, if people put their sell limit right here, their stop loss is going to be right there. This is going to be like the first level of stop losses. And once it reaches this point, I could see some liquidity. So if price triggers here, I think it's going to push at least halfway to right there.
So where?
To
what price?
32,160. So 32,160. If price reaches 32,134, I think it's gonna push up to 32.
Oh yeah, that's right around 130. That's around, yeah. Because when I like to see liquidity run above a high for indices, it's usually around 50 points. Right? So that 50 points is 134. So that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Let me check the sentiment. There's a lot of people that are just stacking sells right now. I think it's going to keep pushing up. Yeah. But this is going to be tough because people are looking at it from both ways. You have people that are like, oh, it passed all-time highs, so they're going to keep buying. And there's going to be people like selling because they think this is the just
my balloon fell on it.
So it tapped 100. Right now the high is 101.
The high for this right now?
Yep, 101.
Oh, it's literally at the 100, bro.
Yeah. I told you, might as well tap it now.
Yeah,
and that's why I do. That's why I start looking at 20 to 50 points above the high and there to see what happens. But the big figure was 32,100, right? The flat number.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's see.
We'll see how this plays out. See, Marcus said, so I like taking risks, not saying everyone should do what I'm doing, but I lost so much money before I learned how to work with the market and actually look at the charts all night long. Marcus said, to see how the market works, but with Shawn K2, it makes it more easy to see things. That's why I take risky trades, Shawn. I don't get in to lose, but I know how much. Yeah, exactly. So Marcus is smart about it. He's smart with his risk. Like he already knows his risk going into trades. So like even if he's trading off the 1 minute, he already knows what he's looking for. He knows where he's going to lose. He knows what he's going to make. So as long as you guys use proper risk, you guys are free to take risky trades. It's just a lot of people don't really think about that before entering the trade. So like what I do recommend is if you guys are going to enter risky trades, make sure to understand your risk before going into it. Don't just enter it and then think about your stop loss after. Just make sure that you guys are actually looking at it from a full perspective. So no new zones here for US 30 yet. But we'll see. Yeah, Monkey mentioned that DAX just hit the all-time high as well. So let's go to the DAX. Damn, yeah. So DAX hit its all-time high right there. 1 hour.
Yeah, so US 32. What about SP?
Bro, look at the DAX. Look how far it pushed up.
Oh my God.
That's crazy. Damn, this DAX has pushed up insane, dude. Like, let's see, from the market open right here. Yeah, so the DAX from market open up to here, it's pushed up 442 points. Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, market is pretty crazy this morning. And let me see if there's any scalps along the way. Yeah, the only scalp would have been down here, which we missed. Oh, because I was on market open, yeah. So that scalp right there on market open. Solid. Geez, all-time highs all around for these indices. Yeah, Marcus mentioned I think it's going to make a new high, then drop down like last time. Yeah, I can see that happening, Marcus. I think if price fails to reach this area right here, it's going to drop. But I think it's going to reach it.
Well, it's already made a new all-time high.
Oh yeah, no, with this right here. But I think he meant he's referring to like another all-time high, like past this one.
Oh, past this again.
Yeah, past this one. So past 100. If that happens, then you'll see. Or it might fail to break it. Let me see the sentiment again. Dude, it's so interesting to see the sentiment. Damn, 76% of people are short. This is for sure going to keep pushing up, bro. Look at that. I just pulled it up and it pushed up again. So with this many people short, I think it's going to keep pushing up. But you know what's crazy? It's crazy to see the S&P sentiment and US 30 sentiment being completely different because they move the same for the most part. Let me just pull up the S&P and see what we're looking at there. Yeah, S&P is moving exactly the same. I don't know why there's so many people the other way. I'm kind of tempted to enter S&P for a long. Well, S&P just hit the all-time high as well, obviously, because the other ones hit it too.
No, I don't know. That's not S&P's all-time high.
Oh no, it hasn't. Yeah.
No.
Oh no, they've got a long way to go.
Yeah, they've got that market's been moving a little different.
Yeah, actually, you're right. Yeah. So that's probably why the sentiment's different because they're not reaching the all-time high.
That's why none of this makes sense.
Yeah, this doesn't make sense to me because S&P usually mirrors, or I mean, it technically does mirror US 30, but it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, that's weird. All right, let's go back to US 30. I'm just really interested to see if this reaches that point.
It just tapped 101 again.
Yeah, it broke it. It's above. It's at
108.
Yeah, this thing is crazy.
134 is my magic number for the day. 34. That's 50 points. 50 points above the previous all-time high.
Dad, there's only one balloon, no more.
Let's see this push up.
What? There's no more balloons?
They're in my phone.
Oh, okay.
Can I go left one that
trades
to go to this one because he's alone with no friends?
Okay.
I need to go get a friend for him.
Okay. My daughter just wants me to blow up balloons for her.
She's doing what?
She wants me to blow up balloons so they can have a friend to play with.
Does she have a friend?
No, the balloons are friends with themselves.
Oh, yeah, no, of course. That's funny, dude. It's like your daughter has something new every day. There's utopia.
She's a trip, dude.
Funny. I'm gonna look for some Forex trades now. Candle's about to close, even though
The back of balloons are.
They're gone. Uh-oh.
They're somewhere in the kitchen. I can't find them.
I'll help you. What? Oh, you're looking at Forex pairs. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pull up real quick because the candle closes in about 15 minutes. I just want to mark them up just in case.
Yeah, I got balloons to find.
All right, bro. Let's finish looking this up real quick. GC, GJ. XY start to taper off a bit. Okay. All right, guys. So I'm looking at the Forex market right now. The next 4-hour candle closes in about 15 minutes. So we have a couple possible entries here, maybe a late entry for odd CAD right here for a sell, odd JPY here for a buy. These are kind of iffy because they're both going opposite directions, right? Generally, we like to trade in the same direction. So if this is a sell and this is a buy, it's kind of risky. We'd have to pick and choose. I'm not going to take both because they're just going to be too risky. We also have Euro USD here for a possible sell. NZD CAD here for possible late sell, and NZD USD. So I think the main, here, let me just check this out. Odd CAD, I'm gonna check out the indexes for this. We got the Aussie index here, Canadian index there. This is kind of tricky because, so in order for this to drop here, we want the Canadian dollar to be strong, and we want the Australian dollar to be weak. So, I mean, this could possibly play out, but it just looks a little risky from that point. I'm not really going to be, I'm not sold on that entry just yet. See odd JPY right here, the Aussie dollar versus the Japanese index, JXY. So I'm not really convinced with this either because they're both bearish right here. I mean, obviously the JXY is way more bearish than the AXY. But I'm not completely sold on that either. So I'm not really going to be too focused on this yet. Let's check out Euro USD. So Euro USD EXY versus DXY. So this looks okay, but you know, like I mentioned, this is just a little risky still. I might call that, but we'll see. It has to close below the structure in order for us to have that entry though. So we'll see. But we'll have a tight TP, tight stop loss for this specific move. Only about 50 pips, nothing too crazy. Because it is Monday, so we're still waiting for some certain, you know, for some confirmations before we take these trades here. Probably not going to take that. Probably not going to take that either. Or maybe we can take it for a sell. We'll see. But anyways, okay, so I'm only looking at about 4 pairs right now. I'm looking at odd CAD for possible late entry, odd JPY right here as well. Euro USD right here for a sell, and then NZD USD for a possible sell if it ends up closing, you know, below the structure right here. Let me just mark that up slightly. TP stop loss is going to be a little tight on this as well, 50 pips. Not going for anything too crazy right now. But yeah, with that said, I'll come back and take a look at this in the next 11 minutes. That's when the candle right here closes. But until then, we'll look at US 30. So US 30 is still pushing up, guys. Like I mentioned, if price reaches this price point right here, it's going to reach a bunch of liquidity because that's where a lot of these people have their stop losses. Whoever's short right now, US 30, you can see the number is still increasing. It's 76% right now. And this is how many retail traders are short US 30. You know, obviously, like I mentioned, I don't like to trade where everyone's trading because it's probably going to do the opposite of what they're doing. So people have been short US 30 since this morning. Since market open right here, if you were short US 30, you're like in some extreme drawdown. Like there was a guy here, what's his name, Kano? Are you still here, Kano? Let me check real quick. Or no, so Kaush. So Kaush, he I'm not sure if you're in this room right here, Kaush, But see, I identified this trade with Kaush. Yes. So Kaush messaged me. He said, do you think US 30 will sink? He was a short US 30 because he was taking signals from someone else, and asked him like, wow, why did you take that sell? And I told him that it's going to go up, right? I gave him a chart here. This was at 7:57 a.m. 7:57 p.m. last night. I sent him this chart, right? I told him it was going to go up, but he was in a sell. So a lot of people who were in the sells right here ended up getting screwed because it went up like 7,000 pips. So you guys got to be careful, because he was asking me what he should do. And I told him to ask whoever gave him that signal, because they probably had a different analysis. But I already called this buy from like yesterday. So I called this buy from 7:30 p.m. or 7:57 p.m. yesterday, last night, and it did exactly what I thought was going to happen. It came up, tested the structure, and it bounced all the way up, right? So what happened was right here, it tested the structure and then it shot up just like I thought it would. But obviously I didn't take the trade because I wasn't 100% about it. But you know, it just goes to show that if you guys use proper analysis, you guys can identify these moves here. So, and the reason why I didn't take this trade is because I went to sleep. I don't like taking trades when I go to sleep. But yeah, huge push up here. So hopefully you guys didn't enter the sell like a lot of other people. If you guys trade the same, you know, price action strategy that everyone else does, then you know, you're probably going to get burned in a lot of these trades. That's why I don't really trade price action like that. I know David over here trades price action, but he does things differently. He doesn't trade like everyone else. He uses order blocks and he uses different types of analysis, not specifically basic price action that everyone else is looking at. So basically everyone thought that this was going to be a sell, right? And like, don't get me wrong, like this would look like a sell, right? So if you looked at this from this perspective, if I rewind this to this candle right here, if you saw this rejection off that all-time high, you probably would have thought it was a sell too. But this is why we don't just enter trades here, because we're waiting for actual confirmations. Because yeah, this right here, we're just, you know, you would have gone burnt out if you entered a sell right there. So we'll see how this plays out. But like I mentioned, the market's not really moving how, you know, it's not following basic fundamentals, especially with the stimulus news. So let's see, Razul said, I don't get why sentiment is short when the stimulus was always going to push everything up, unless I'm missing something. Razul, so sentiment short because everyone was identifying this all-time high, right? It's like a common thought for everyone that, well, it's not for me, obviously, I don't think that way. But if you're using basic price action, you know, like a lot of other people, they identify this as the all-time high, and they think price can't break an all-time high, and they think it's going to drop. So that's why people are in for a short, Russell, and that's why I'm not in for a short, because I don't follow that same basic analysis where people think, you know, it's all speculation. People think because it reached an all-time high, it's going to have to drop. It doesn't necessarily have to drop. It can keep pushing up if it needs to. But I think that's the main reason why people are short, Razul. The main reason is because it reached an all-time high and everyone thinks that it's going to drop from the all-time high. But most of the time that doesn't happen, right? So looking at the sentiment here, sentiment is still crazy. I don't understand the thought process behind this, because sentiment has been like 70% since this morning. And all the people that are here are just blown. They're getting their accounts blown right now, because sentiment was 70% since market open right here, right? So if you entered a short position down here, you're in drawdown like 5,000 pips almost. So I feel bad for whoever's holding on to that sell. I would just cut your losses already. So hopefully none of you guys here are in a sell, because if you guys are in a sell, you guys are getting burned like horribly right now. And if it reaches this point right here of liquidity, it's probably going to keep shooting up even higher. So I would be careful with that. Let's see, Kaparo said, after stim, we don't have clear positive catalyst, in my opinion, but only potential negative ones. Yeah, same here, Kaparo. I agree with you too. You know, I would take some sells if there was an entry for me, but I don't see any sells here. So I'm not going to be taking any of this right here.
Right. That's the same thought everyone has, right?
Exactly.
There's no clear rationale for it to be doing what it's doing besides to clear everyone out of the market. But people don't see it that way. People see, oh, we can't break an all-time high. Oh, we can't continue going up. That's not the case. That's not how this industry works.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why I'd rather just sit out the market. So I'd rather sit in my profits and just wait than, you know, hop into this and then end up getting burnt from speculation. So Yeah, I mean, we're gonna wait and see how this plays out. I don't really see anything for us to really take at this point. I think by Asia session, it should probably taper off a bit. But dude, I think this is gonna be crazy. I think once it reaches like lunch, or it's about to be lunch right now. Yeah, once it reaches lunch, dude, we could probably see this. Like towards the end of the market, it has that big spike in price. I think it's gonna spike up, dude. I think it's gonna reach this price point. It's gonna spike up and just stop everyone out. And then you're gonna see sentiment go from 75 to like 60 because everyone got kicked out of that trade.
I just want to see what this is setting up for the rest of the week.
Oh, same here. I'm just waiting.
I'll be ready to catch it.
Yeah. I'm gonna be ready to catch that too, dude. I need to catch it big. And I can't wait for this to drop.
Hey, you know what it might happen?
What do you think's gonna happen?
Remember 2 weeks ago when we caught that sell from the top?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Oh,
my God.
yeah.
So we might need to do a private Zoom at Asian.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, me and David might go on this private Zoom and start analyzing this. Let me see my schedule for today.
Oh, my Asian section. Remember what time was it? I think it was like midnight for me.
Yeah,
I'm not going into work this week, so
you're good. You're good, man.
I'm good.
Good to go. Yeah, but I don't think it's gonna dump just yet. I'm like so tempted to enter a sell stop right here, like somewhere around this area, but I don't want to because I know once I do, this is what's gonna happen. It's probably gonna dump, trigger my sell stop, and then shoot all the way up.
It'll I mean, well,
That'll work
it'll
out.
eventually taper off, right? To create
Yeah.
the wick for the day.
Oh, it for sure will. I think towards the end of the market though. So what I see happening right here is I probably see this pushing up even higher. I see this pushing up until market close. So market closes right here at market swap. So this is probably going to shoot up to here, or not even up to there, maybe like to the middle area, somewhere around there. And then I think once we reach like Asia session, we'll just go sideways, and then it'll finally dump. But they need to clear out these sellers because there's too many sellers in the market, bro. They're not just going to drop in and have everyone here have a gold mine, like
Oh no, definitely not.
a free payday for everybody. It's not going to happen. It's impossible. It's too many people. If this was like 60%, then it'll probably drop. But right now it's still 76%. There's too many people that are short. They're not just going to let all these people win. It just doesn't make sense.
This 4-hour candle is about to close. The current high is 32,120. So if you pay attention to the next 4-hour candle, well, you gotta wait till this closes. Actually,
it's
why does my trading view say there's still over an hour left?
On the
for the 4-hour candle?
Oh yeah, that's weird. Huh. Yeah, I don't know.
That's odd.
Yeah, that's really odd.
Well,
I mean, it
that's
should.
tripping me out.
Yeah, it should be closing. Is it daylight savings this week? I don't know. Because if that's the case, then it might be an algorithm.
It's spring ahead, fall back, right?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, spring forward, fall back.
Maybe it's something with trading view. Is there settings for daylight savings?
It like automatically changes, but I'm not sure. Because I was trying to set my settings up earlier this week too, and like for some reason my hours look kind of off. Like on one day, it was like the hours were different.
Oh, strange. Well, I'm gonna go by the time that I'm used to it being a 4-hour candle close.
Yeah, no, same here. I would be doing the same thing. But yeah, if that's the case, like so if that ends up happening, then on the 4-hour, it wouldn't close above it.
Right. Right. So that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going with this. This 4-hour candle close, the current high is 120. The next 4-hour candle shouldn't break and close above.
Yeah, if that happens,
that 4-hour candle. If it does, there's no telling where this is going.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. There really is no telling because it can keep pushing up if it wants to.
Right now we have a 32,120 high, still within my 50-point range from the previous all-time high. So that's good. So that's some of the things I like to note and keep in mind.
Oh, I should 4-hour candle. Sorry. Let me go back to these Forex pairs. Let me just. Enter the sell for Euro USD. I think the dollar is still going to be strong, bro. So I'm going to call this EU sell right here for you guys in the premium.
I agree.
So let me see this real quick. Euro USD. Yeah, I'll take this. All right, got the sell going for Euro USD right here. Nice profit off that Marcus. So Marcus just sent his profits right there. Let's see. Nice. So Trell grabbed another $100 off that too. He scalped that US 30. So nice work, Trell. You and Marcus locked in some nice profit off that. I haven't really seen any profits for myself today because I haven't really been messing with it. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. So I called one trade from Forex right there. I'm not going to mess with these other ones just yet. Let me go ahead and set these parameters here. So it's already active, guys. If you guys are in the premium, you guys see the signal. This is already active. Let me take it on my phone real quick. Take this trade. It's enter market because I'm entering kind of late. It's a few seconds late. All right, it's good. I'm gonna go ahead and set my alerts up now. Full TP is going to be. Oh, my alerts set up. All right, cool. So I'm all done with that. I'm gonna go back to US 30. Yeah, I think this is gonna keep pushing up, guys. So if you guys are looking at US 30, keep an eye on this price point right here. If price reaches 32,134, I think it's gonna hit some liquidity and it's gonna push up higher. So just keep an eye on that. I mean, other than that, I think that's about it for now. Dave, are you looking at anything right now? Or are you just gonna be chilling? Because I think I'm done for the day. I don't really see much.
Yeah, man, I'm just chilling. I'm not looking for, I don't look for new trades after a certain time.
Yeah, guys, it's hit already 10 a.m. So once it hits 10:30, the market is going to start moving a little funky. So I usually don't take trades after that time. I usually take a break and I'll be back for Asia session. So I do have a couple mentoring sessions today, guys. I got a mentoring session with Rick at 2. I got another mentoring session with Kimmy at 5. So if you guys want to sit in on my mentoring sessions later, I generally don't post a link up. So if you guys do want to sit on it, just make sure to like this stream, to subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on notifications. That way YouTube knows that you want to watch my videos. And whenever I go live, they'll send you an email indicating that I'm live so you guys can hop in on those sessions. So I think other than that, I'm pretty much chilling. Yeah. What are you gonna do from now until then, David? Hang out?
My family all just took a nap.
Just taking a nap right now.
I'll probably just
Take a nap
chill
too?
out.
Yeah, no,
Maybe,
I'm probably gonna
maybe.
chill out for a bit. I don't really see anything. I just have that trade running for your USD right now. And
Yeah,
I'll
that's a good one.
dude, this is gonna be slow. It's gonna be a snail movement. I think, till
Oh yeah, the rest of today. I mean,
rest
look
of
at
today.
look at the push today, man. That's a lot of push for one day.
Yeah, it's probably gonna retrace back slightly, and then I think probably Asia session will probably come back down. But yeah, so I think that's about it. So yeah, David, later on today we could probably hop on a session. Like let's probably shoot for like mid Asia session, maybe late Asia session. And then we'll see.
Probably late again, because
Late.
yeah, like we did it the last time.
Oh yeah,
think-
yeah. Towards closer to London Open, right?
Around midnight Eastern.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So yeah, I get
Does
it
that
on
work for you?
It probably would. I have my last session about 5 with Kimmy, and then I think we have I'll probably just be doing some like admin work background, and then we could probably just hop on a session, maybe take some trades.
Yeah, just let me know what you think. I mean, that worked for us 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, for some
That
big
gave you
moves.
that gave you that your big day, man. Your big week.
I know my big 7K day with David over here with his sell analysis in mind.
Sure. Would you make 17K that week?
Yeah, dude, that's a lot. I think it's in here, right? Yeah, we made a lot that day. Let's see. We made, where's my profit for that day? 10K that day. That whole week was like killer, bro. It was like
Yeah, that
literally
week was wild. I
that
called,
week.
yeah,
Yeah.
we called US 30 from the top and then from the bottom.
Yeah, we took so many trades that day. I was like, damn. Oh, there we go. 17K for that week. This is
Bro,
the
that
trade
was wild.
when you traded that night for that
And
week.
when we traded that night during Asian.
Yeah, dude. Because you helped me lock in that like 7K, and then after that, I just locked in all these scalps after that. Damn.
Sweet, man. All right.
Do it again,
Catch
bro.
up later.
Yeah,
Yes,
so we'll
sir.
catch up later. So yeah, guys, if you guys are here in the live session, I'll be going offline for now. I'll probably be going back again later tonight for Asia session. So if you guys want to sit in on my mentoring sessions, just make sure to like this stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on your notifications. But until then, I think that's about it. So let me see. Trell asked one more question. Trell said, "Would you put a sell stop under the 4-hour zone?" So I personally wouldn't. Trell, that's a lot of speculation right there. I mean, it seems like a good idea until it doesn't work out, right? Because I've done that before, where I go on the 4-hour. So let me just check real quick. Trell mentioned on the 4-hour over here, he was asking if I would put a sell stop under the zone. So if I go on the 4-hour here, and I turn all this stuff off. Yeah. So I probably wouldn't enter there, Trell, because what could happen is, I mean, this could technically play out because you can see the last time it dropped from that zone. It can play out, but I think it's too risky because like what could happen is it could trigger your order and it can shoot right back up. But you can see the last time that happened right here, it kind of created a U shape here. It came down. And if you did have a self stop there, it could have filled it and you could have had a nice profit. However, it doesn't always play out that smoothly, right? So if you want to do that, you can take that for a small lot size and then have a tight stop loss like slightly above, maybe about 1,000 pips like that. That could possibly work. But like I mentioned, it's going to be a risky move. So I probably wouldn't take a big move like that. I would just scalp. So I'd wait for the scalp entries to appear, Trail. And then when, obviously you've been killing the scalp. So if that happens, then I would just take some scalps from there. Wow, US 30 just pushed up, David. I don't know if you're still here. It's about to.
I'm still watching it.
Yeah, dude, I'm still watching it. So I want to.
I still got that 134 number in my head.
Yeah, I think once it reaches that, it's gonna hit liquidity. It's gonna just push up. But yeah, Troy, I personally wouldn't put that sell stop there, just to be safe. I would just take the scalps as they come back down. But all right, time to hop off. So Dave, I'll catch you later. I'll hit you up and we'll figure out when we'll log on. But I should be able to hop on like later tonight.
Yeah, just let me know.
All right, guys. So thanks for showing up. I'll catch you guys later for Asia session. So take a break for now, and then I'll catch you guys maybe in about like 5 or 6 hours.